morning. Good morning. Hello. Welcome back. Welcome back, everyone. It has been forever and a day since I've seen y'all. It's actually been forever and 10 days since I've seen y'all. I am so glad to be back. I am so glad y'all are here. Hello. Oh, we have a new member, Kim Maynard. Hello. Welcome. Take your jury seat. I am so glad to see all my friends again this morning. I am oh, I didn't do this. Look, 28 seconds back in and I'm already messing stuff up. I did not do my first in tailgate this morning. I've been trying to, it's storming like crazy here. So I took Lucy out this morning and we got caught out there in the rain, which is why my hair is wet and stuff. So then I was trying to dry off real quick before we started, and it's been quite a morning already. So I'm sorry that I didn't get you your fake furniture. I apologize, but tomorrow I will be back to normal, hopefully, maybe. We'll see. But congratulations to first in the tailgate. Hello, Sydney Hoff. I missed y'all too. I am ready for trial and 30 sidebars. Let me tell you, after spending as much time as I did on this vacation eating all of the food, I'm going to need all of the squats I can get during this trial. So no more shots for me, but plenty of squats, because I gained like 12 pounds on vacation and it was worth every single calorie, every single thing I tried, everything. It was amazing. It was a nice break. But it was sad being away from my little family, our little family that we've built up here. So I was not able to check in very often with the cruise pounds are real. Yes, they are. And when I came back and I did not have groceries because I've been gone for 10 days, I came back and I had like a pack of ramen noodles, and I was like, this is ridiculous. Like, I can't just walk downstairs and have people serve me. And like, why is life not like that in real life? You know why? Because we would all weigh the size of a Volkswagen. That's why. Hello, JT Bruce Crime. Hello. Thank you. I am well rested. I am emotionally stable for the moment. Let's give it about the first 3 sidebars. We'll see how long that lasts. But as of right now, I'm emotionally stable, so that's lovely. It's something else. But I'll tell you, I had the best time. It was truly a much needed vacation. I've had a lot of time and effort goes into the show, and all of the research and all of the, making sure that I go over everything and I understand everything, so that, I can answer questions and we can make sure that our chat is, up to date on everything. And so a lot of work goes into it. So it was really nice to have a nice break from everything. So when I started to go to sleep last night, I was like, oh crap, I have to set an alarm. Like, what is this crap? But here we are. I'm glad though. I'll say this. When I used to come back from vacation, and have to set an alarm for the first time and stuff to go to work, it was a lot different than it is now. Now, when I set my alarm to come to work, I know that when I come to work in the morning and show up and say hi to everybody that I know that I'm going to be, I know I'm going to enjoy it. And, I get to do what I love for my job now. So how cool is that? Lucy is also has some vacation weight on her. She stayed with my kid and his dog, and he said that he loved having her there. When my son is he's about to be 20, but his dog, we rescued his dog a couple years ago, and so he was still living at home when we got his dog, and so he Lucy and his dog Finn used to live together. They were cousins. I don't know what they were anyway, but we called them cousins. But they haven't lived like in the same space in over a year. So my son was telling me like it was funny seeing them together, but Lucy is still the little diva, because even though that's not her house, she went over there and was trying to tell him what's what and all that. So but apparently she got plenty of treats over there. So I came back and she's got her a little vacation gut too. So me and her, we relate on that. Yes. Good morning all. Good morning all. I see everybody piling in. Thank you very much. This covers some of my sunburn and some of my peeling. You can see on my face too, I got a lot of sun, but you can see there's like some parts of my face where it's already peeled a little bit and then kind of started to get back normal again. So we'll see. Roberta, new member, welcome. Welcome. Come grab your seat. So what did everybody do for the week while I was gone and there was no trial? What did we watch? Did y'all watch the ballerina trial? I heard somebody say they watched the ballerina trial. I haven't seen anything. And I did the whole, like, when I was on vacation, I was fully on vacation. I didn't do any research. I didn't do any murder stuff. Like I fully took the entire time to do a break. So I have not seen anything. I've seen like bits and pieces of things that people have posted, but I haven't had time to research anything. Rudy, what is going on with Rudy, y'all? Like I saw pieces of that and I have not had a chance to dive in and catch up, but that one's looking a little WTF. I want to get into that one when I have a chance and look at stuff. But yeah, that one was a little wild. Let's see, the Border Patrol trial. I think I saw parts of that. I think they had the verdict on that. Am I right? I think I remember seeing parts of that. Yes, that one. Yeah, the Rudy stuff, I'm going to have to jump into that when I get a chance, because y'all know I love when nothing makes sense and then I dig in and start looking at stuff. So I don't know who, I can't remember. So much has happened since we were last in court together. But a few things have happened. We've talked a lot about Fredo Bang, and I got a notification that he started following me on Twitter, and then he shared something of mine. So I was like, I have questions. I'm going to ask him. So I asked him to come on the show, and he said he would come on after it wraps up. So he can't talk about anything until, after. So Fredo Bang said he's going to come on. I have questions. So we'll see. We'll see. So that's fun. That's going to be interesting. I also, I almost closed this out. Oh, I came so close to closing this out. I hit the wrong button. That'd have been fun. All right. So something else. Yeah, somebody said, I can't remember who it was, but somebody on Twitter was like, okay, so the state of Florida couldn't get in touch with him, but Brandi did, which is hilarious to me. But I didn't subpoena him. I just hit him up on Twitter. So so funny. Yeah. Let's see what else. Oh, for those of y'all who yes, Shireen, this is one of the main things I want to know, because I want to know. He says his friend's innocent, and Shireen says it'll be good to hear why he thinks so. Same. I want to hear why. I haven't been able to find anybody who, because I haven't fully made up my mind yet. Of course, I've been clear about, I am a common sense girl and I will follow where the evidence leads us. We haven't heard from defense yet, so things could totally change. As of right now, of course, all we've heard is prosecution, and from what they're saying, it doesn't look good. So I want to hear something else. I want to hear another idea that makes sense. Like, and I haven't been able to really get anything sent to me yet that still works with the evidence. So I'll be curious to see what defense brings up. I'll be curious to see what other theories people have that still work with the evidence that we have, and I'll be really curious to see what he says about if he'll answer questions about what he thinks may have happened or could have happened. So we'll see. Ooh, it's lightning outside. Brenda Mayer says, happy you're back. I did a lot of house cleaning while you were gone. I should have left you the code to my condo door, and you could have helped me out with some of that too, because I need some help over here. Let's see. Good morning. Good morning. Yes. Okay. Virginia Little, I'm glad you brought this up. Virginia says, cannot understand why the judge ruled against the jurors seeing the car. So that is, the jury has been out, but court has still been, like, the judge, was still there going over stuff. In case you missed it, Portland went to, I can't remember the days of the end of before I went for vacation, kind of run together. So I can't remember what we've gone over and what we haven't. But they filed the motion for the jury to see the car. The judge did deny that. So thank you, Virginia, for bringing that up. He denied that. There was also a hearing for Caper. Welcome back. Welcome back, Caper. Thank you. Take your seat. There was also a hearing for Portland on Friday. And so he asked to do studio time past midnight, and the judge said, no, I don't understand why you need to be in the studio late hours of the night. He wanted to go, like, to do work. I think it's been 9-10 days. So I can't remember exactly how it was worded. Normally I'm more prepared, but I was not going to take time out of my vacation to go back over all of this stuff again this morning. I'm sorry. But basically he asked to, went down, to be able to work different hours, to be able to kind of come and go more as far as his, house arrest goes, go to church, that type thing. And the judge denied him basically having more leniency. So it was a very short, you can watch the whole thing. I watched it, I think it was only like 3 minutes or 4 minutes, something like that. It was a very short hearing. He was kind of in and out, but it did not last long. Also, in case you missed it, I found some stuff. When I was researching, I started, like, digging into everything on Thursday when we finished court, and and then on Friday before I left, I think I was like researching stuff until about lunchtime. So I found a few things. As I'm going through the court documents, I was looking at different supplemental um, motions filed from the state in order to add new evidence and stuff like that. So when I was going through those, I looked for anything I could find that we haven't seen yet. And it took some hours, but I found some stuff. So I found one of the supplemental, oh, it's lightning again. One of the supplemental things I found was a video. It's a Facebook Live video, and it's about an hour long. And it shows Melly. I put it on my Twitter, actually. Let me find my Twitter. And I'll show y'all. And this sparked so much. I had so many people coming at me like, that is not what happened. Well, let me tell you, yes, it is. I'm not going to post it if I wasn't verifying it already. Y'all should know me better than that. So for those of y'all who are telling me I'm wrong, bless your hearts. I spent extra time verifying crap because I don't like to be wrong. What you jumping for, Lucy? All right, so let me share this. All right, so this is just a small. Now I watched this for about an hour, and so this is just one clip of it. A lot of this is a lot of the hour was when they were actually filming this video. Now, this is the same day of the murders, as in like hours after the murders, not before. So, the murders were in the early morning hours of October 26th, and this was later in the day of October 26th. So, this is now, let me also say, I did not clip any parts of this video while they were, because this is like a fan that's on the side just Facebook Live in this. So I did not clip any of the parts while they were shooting, while they were filming, because I am not going to judge his behavior during that time because, he was on stage. It's hard to know how you would react, if your friends had just died and you had to, if the show goes on, whatever. So I did not clip any of that because while he's on stage, I figured you're on stage, you may behave differently. So this ain't while he's filming. So this is Melly. And listen to the narrator.
You see him?
And there's Portland.
Melly still turned regardless of what happened this early morning.
Still turned regardless of what happened this early morning.
Positive. Turned still. Hey! No, still turned regardless of what happened. You already know.
So this was, and I had people telling me that was not, after the murders and all that. But let me tell you, yes, it was. Remember, we heard about the video shoot that he did in Melbourne later that day. We've heard about that before. So this is from that shoot. Now, something else I found, and Lord help people that cannot read. This is something else. All right. So see this. This is from that same screenshot. Okay, so Melly here is wearing the Stranger Things jacket. Now, you can see when Juvie left the studio, he was wearing the same Stranger Things jacket. So here, here, let me move this. The right here, you can see that it was entered into evidence, and you can see he's got this one on. This was later in the day. It is not the same one, and I did my comment on this said something about, he's wearing a jacket that's the same as the one Juvie had on. And people are like, oh, you're saying that you're saying that he took it off of him and did. No. If you read what I said is what I said. I said his jacket is the same as the one Juvie had on. Not the same one, the same as the one. And then also I thought this was ironic. And I'm not even saying it means anything. I'm just saying it's kind of crazy. Look at he's wearing the same jacket, the same style jacket as Juvie, the one that Juvie had on. And Borland's wearing the same style jacket that Sack Chaser had on. The next day. Isn't that kind of, it's technically the same day. Isn't that kind of crazy? I just thought while I'm doing all my research, I saw it. I thought, that's crazy. And I posted it. And then all of a sudden, people are like saying that I'm trying to say that he took it off his dead body and then, wore it for a video shoot and then entered it back into evidence and all this stuff. Y'all read my stuff. There's some more stuff that I found too, that I'm still kind of sorting through and organizing, but I did do a good bit of research before I left on Friday. So I've still got some court papers to go through, and when I finish that, when I finish going through it, I will organize it all together and go over some of that. And then there's some behind the scenes stuff that I found out that's pretty gross too. So we can go over some of that too. Let's see these were somebody asked for pictures a minute ago. This was the cruise. This is my friend that I went with. This was the drink package kicking in. Puerto Rico. And then, okay, if you've never been to Puerto Rico, they have this pigeon park. And this picture that my friend took is not even the beginning of it. Like, you would be, like, it's incredible how many pigeons there are. And they'll just come to you. It was like totally like the Home Alone lady in the Central Park. And then Dominican Republic was incredibly beautiful. Just insane. Oh, and the windmills were kind of crazy, but also kind of creepy. Turks and Caicos, the water in Turks and Caicos was like crystal clear, and I had a drink that matched the water, which was kind of cool. So there was a lot going on. It was incredible. If your kid loves pigeons, let me see if I can find the video while we're waiting on court to start. I'll show you the video of the pigeons was crazy. They were like landing on our heads and stuff. And I ended up having to like get onto two of them because they were fussing. They were fighting over the food. Let's see. Photos, albums, boats and shows. There's my album. Let's see. Oh, here we go. Okay. So you can see all the pigeons here. And the trees and stuff was really cool. But, that was... and then like and this little wall over here that like all the pigeons would hide back there, which was kind of cool. And see, they would like get on your back and stuff. And
Oh my god!
oh yeah, they're fighting on me. They're fighting on me. Hey, y'all knock it off. Be nice. Hey. So there was a lot of there was a lot of really cool stuff to do. All right, court is starting. Let's get it going. Well, they've got the camera on anyway. Let's see. Make sure I've got us unmuted. So if you haven't done that before, I highly recommend it. I am already like thinking like, oh man, I need another cruise. I'm like, I hadn't been on one in so long. So I'm already like wanting to do it. Yes, they had, I did not swim with the orcas, but they did have the dolphin thing. But unfortunately, I didn't get pictures. But they did have the swim with the dolphins in, the swim with the dolphins was in Dominican Republic. And I'm obsessed with dolphins now. Let's see. Yeah, the water in Turks and Caicos was super, super clear. It was beautiful. Oh, Kathy, you will love it. You'll love it. Yeah, Dominican Republic was I mean, all three. San Juan was really cool too. We were actually in San Juan on 4th of July. So that was kind of cool because we were in the, oldest American or U.S. territory. It's the oldest city in U.S. territory. And we were there for 4th of July, which was kind of cool. And then we had to try some of the local food. I think it was mofongo. That's what it was called, I think. And it's like chicken and like mushed plantains or something. I don't know. It was good though. I was like, oh, okay, that sounds interesting. But it's the local cuisine. So I was like, yeah, we'll give it a go. And it was actually really good. So that was cool. And it was actually, oh, oops, look at me just messing stuff up. I'll have to get the name of it. I think that's what like. Oh yeah, mofongo. Okay, so that is what it is. Did I say it right? Mofongo. Yes. Look at me, so cultured. Making sure I'm not paused over here. Every time I see the door open, I'm like, oh, we're starting. The cruise itself was great. The ship did get crowded, but that's to be expected, especially 4th of July week. But the cruise ship we were on was huge, so it was cool. It was a lot of fun. But I am glad to be back. I am actually really glad to be back. And oh my gosh, I can't believe I forgot this. I got home and I checked my P.O. box, and this did not have a name on it, who it's from. So I need to know, because this is hilarious. It's a dog chew toy, and it's a drill. It's a rubber drill, which I think is hilarious because, I've had the people drilling in this building 84 years now. I don't even know how long we've lost track. And I know that they're getting close to being done, so I don't know how much I'll hear them today or if I'll hear them. But somebody sent Lucy a drill as a chew toy, and I think that that's hilarious. I opened this and busted out laughing, but I don't know who sent it because it didn't have the name on it. So I need to know who sent it because that's a trip. My kid came in yesterday. He came and hung out with me yesterday, and he saw that and he was like, "Why do you have a rubber drill?" And I was like, "Let me explain. It's really funny." So I got that. I also got, they're over there, so I can't reach them from here. But I have said a million times that these headphones kill my ears, and they do. They're awful. They're awful. I got these because my so loud. Because my AirPods that I was using, they die. So I can't really use those. I have to have something corded. So I got, and it helps to have the noise canceling stuff so that I can, when I'm trying to eavesdrop on things, I can hear better. So I got these, but they're terrible. So I got some amazing new headphones, and I ordered the only reason I'm not using them today, I have to get a converter thing, which will be here tomorrow. So I'll have my fancy new headphones, and I won't be pulling at them anymore. So that was amazing. And then also, I don't know if you can see, I added to my little gnome collection. Brother Brewmeister sent me the little gnomes. Aren't those cute? So cute. So that was a nice welcome home gift. Yeah, Lucy gets the best gifts. She is, y'all spoil her, and she loves it. And it's funny too, because a lot of the toys that have been sent to her and stuff, now like she'll have to go get them and break, like when we go to bed, she has stairs that lead up to the bed, and she'll have to go like gather her tribe and bring them all up into the bed with us, which is really funny. So every night when we go to bed, it's like I have a king size bed, and it's, I have this much room, and Lucy and her toys have this much room. So it's a little crazy, but and she was happy. She went a little bit nuts, which was really cute. She was excited. My little baby. She went nuts. And I love that. I love it to see. I love seeing when she gets all excited. Corey, congratulations. You are now officially in yellow. Happy 2-month anniversary with us. Corey says, glad you're back safe, Brandi. Grateful for you and the wonderful people in this community. Thank you so much, Corey. I appreciate it. And congrats on your yellow 13. When I set up all the colors and stuff, I don't even remember what colors I set for anything. But then it's like, as we, go through and the months change, it'll be fun to see like, oh, there's a new color. Let's see. Memberships are for anybody, but
Judge Miller, there was a motion filed at 9:54 p.m. last night that affects the same second witness. I don't know if Your Honor wants to address it this morning, in addition to the same second motion eliminating. Or you want to do it after the first witness? It's going to be fairly short.
Tell me what the issue is now.
So this stayed on Friday afternoon after Mr. Glass's deposition filed same second motion eliminating. Does Your Honor have a copy of that?
I have a motion limited filed by the state. I don't know which one we're talking about. I read it.
I'll show them on break. I have them up here.
On Friday afternoon, it's titled state second.
Yes, I've read it.
That's what we're requiring. So there are three motion eliminations. The first one is regarding the defendant's essentially self-serving hearsay statements during the deposition of Mr. Glass. Counsel asked Mr. Glass whether or not the defendant had ever admitted fault, essentially in the incident. So that would be a self-serving statement that the state would seek to exclude, in addition to any other self-serving statements during cross-examination.
Anything else you want to talk about?
Yes, that was just as for point one. Second, prior bad acts. As to the witness, Mr. Glass, any prior arrests that did not result in any convictions. In addition to, counsel brought up a alleged shooting incident that was denied by the witness. And there was also, allegations of him being, just generally involved in that act. So we moved to exclude any of those. He does have 2 prior felony convictions, so those would be, what counsel's testimony should be limited to. And finally, the drug use, which I cited to Edwards versus State, which is 548 Southern 2nd, 656, Florida Supreme Court, 1989, regarding when counsel can inquire from a witness whether or not he's utilized drugs. The witnesses admitted and did admit in deposition that he did smoke weed on the date of incident. But however, counsel did inquire as to his general drug use. And so the state would seek to exclude any general drug use that's not related to either the date of the incident or, according to Edwards versus State, any other testimony that would affect his ability to recall events. And those are the state's 3 motion eliminations.
Well, it's 1 motion eliminated, but 3 paragraphs.
Yes, 3 paragraphs, yes.
Thank you. That's what you heard?
Morning, Your Honor. As to, I'm trying to recall, as to the issue of drug use, I'm not thinking that it's our intention to date his drug use back to birth. However, we know that one of the lasting and long-term effects of chronic marijuana usage is affects one's memory. So the fact that I think when he was asked, do you smoke marijuana? His answer was yes. And how often? The answer was whenever I can. I'm not sure that we should be limited to the day in question, because the impact of such chronic use, whenever he can get his hands on it, impacts his ability to recall matters. With respect to his prior bad acts, there are 2 felonies which are clearly our impeachment. And beyond that, however, he was charged. This is a witness who made himself deliberately unavailable to the parties for years. He then gets charged in May of this year with a crime, and then watches the proceedings on television and has suddenly made himself available. That goes to bias, his intent.
I don't think the state was suggesting that you couldn't ask questions about whatever current charge he has. Are you suggesting that?
No, Judge, I didn't address that, because he can ask about the charges, about the maximum, minimum penalties, and I would agree that he could ask whether or not he's been incurred in favor in exchange for his testimony as it relates to that.
With regard to the current charges.
Correct.
And well, if the state's position is we can't impeach him with anything beyond the current charges and his felonies, we agree. I can't remember what the first point was.
So it was self-serving hearsay statements of your client.
This is from your young man.
First of all, it's not a statement. A statement are utterances. The question that was put to the witness was whether or not Mr. Demons ever admitted involvement in the activity. The answer is no. There was a time during which the witness indicates that he was inquiring of various people what may have happened. And him saying that Mr. Demons never admitted involvement in the offense is not him uttering a hearsay statement. It's him denying the existence of any statement, hearsay or otherwise. So I don't think there's a hearsay exclusion to the failure to admit involvement in the offense. So I don't think that that question ought to be precluded if in fact we decide to put it to the witness.
Thank you. Well, regarding the first issue about the witnesses' alleged testimony that the defendant, Mr. Dennis, didn't admit to him that he was involved in it. That's not something the witness observed or anything. That's in essence, an exculpatory statement. I agree with the state. You can't do that. I agree regarding the prior bad acts and impeachment. We're all on the same page. You can ask about whatever the pending charge is. You can talk about that in the prior 2 felonies. But as to other uncharged offenses that may happen along the way, those are not, can't inquire as to those. As far as the drug use, if he's using marijuana, cannabis at the time, that's all fair game. I don't see any issue with that. And if he uses it frequently, I don't see any issue with that either. I don't know that that's the type of, it may have been at one time the type of drug use that was concerned, but it's stayed in your system for a while, it has effects on you. I think all that's fair game. I don't have an issue. And I understand Edwards talks about when you're under the influence of something, but if it's over a period of time, I've heard from various experts how long it stays in the system, how long it can do it. So it can be for a period of time.
Okay, and just to clarify, I'm just relating period of time meaning from the date of incident to current date, or even predating the date of incident?
Counsel, to me, it's fair game. They can go into it.
Okay, I just wanted to
I don't have
clarify.
any issue with it. All right.
And Judge, the defense did file a motion to exclude Trevion Glass from testifying at all. I don't know if they want to, or Your Honor wants to address it at this time.
We can address it at this time.
Sure, go ahead.
Did you have a chance to read my motion and the case law this morning?
I did.
All right.
Thank you.
So it's basic, as I stated in my motion, after 4 years, we're finally able to depose Mr. Trevion Glass. Interesting enough, as I set forth in my motion, and I attached the pages of his transcript, he states that it wasn't until he started watching YouTube because this case was live streaming and hearing his name repeated everywhere that he decided to call up the prosecution. As I further stated in the deposition, specifically questions were asked about his independent recollection of this incident, and he clearly states, let me go to it. I wasn't aware who got into what seat that day, but from me watching what's going on, yeah, I know now, yeah. Mr. Howard then clarified that. Watching what's going on, do you mean the trial proceedings? He said, correct. Looking at this rule of sequestration, and we know it here as the rule dates back to biblical times. And going back into them, it's been well established that we need these protections of this rule of sequestration to prevent witnesses tailoring their testimony to match the testimony of the previous witnesses. And that's exactly what we have here. 2023, in the Bible, they didn't have a TV live streaming into the courtroom. So most of our rules, when we were dealing with it, are saying, you cannot sit in this gallery and then come up on this stand and testify. But if he's sitting there watching from that TV, from the comfort of his home, there is no difference from him sitting here in this gallery and then getting up there and testifying. That is the crux of this rule, and that is exactly what it is meant to prevent. Sequestration of witnesses is one of the oldest and most time-honored rules in the court system. It's to ensure that we have effective truth-seeking. And we won't have effective truth-seeking if he's allowed to sit here, watch everybody testify, and get up there and then tailor his testimony to the last 3 weeks of evidence and other witnesses who have testified. I provided the case law. I think the law is clear. Reading into that case law, because this rule of sequestration, we do have a sister rule in the federal court system, 615. And they've actually gone on a little bit further with their cases to give us examples of out of courtroom communications that are not allowed. And they give us examples of witnesses sitting outside of the courtroom talking about what they testified with another witness who's going to testify. They talk about giving witnesses the transcripts of other witnesses and preventing them from testifying. In this case, again, he watched the entire trial. We don't even have to guess about this because he tells us in his own deposition that he's been watching this trial, that he's heard his name in this trial, and that's why he's decided after 4 years to come and testify. He must be excluded to guarantee my client a right to fair trial.
Thank you. What's this state?
And just, exclusion of a witness is the harshest sanction that this court can impose. The state acknowledges there was a violation of the rule of sequestration. The witness indicated so in that position. However, counsel's representation that he watched the entire trial is wholly inaccurate. That's not what his testimony was. So the court must determine whether or not it was an intentional violation, whether it was inadvertent, or whether it was any bad faith on part of the witness or the state here in particular. The state would proffer that it was an inadvertent violation. It was unintentional on part of the state. As your honor is well aware, it's been documented that Mr. Glass has not been cooperative with the state. We tried to subpoena him pre-trial. In fact, the first time the state spoke with Mr. Glass was after his current arrest, which I believe was in June of 2023. The state contacted the witness for the first time and was able to speak with him after we had already began trial testimony. The witness indicated to me that he would not be here, he would not come, and he would not cooperate with the state subpoena. He did corroborate that in his deposition, that he did in fact inform me of that information. And therefore, the state operated as he was not going to testify. It was not until the defense subpoenaed the witness that he became compliant and came in on Friday. I think the first time he came to Broward County and the state met with him was on Thursday of last week, which I believe was July 6th. So the first time the state would actually had an opportunity to even speak with the witness in person and inform him of the repercussions of the rule of sequestration was well after testimony had begun already. And the prejudice that the defense has cited in their motion is essentially that he's watched the video surveillance, which is currently in evidence in state 7, and has changed his testimony based on his review of the video surveillance. So 2 things. He did give a statement to Detective Moretti back on February 26th of 2019, and he indicated that he got into the back seat of the red Mitsubishi. He's now been refreshed, and his memory is now refreshed that he did in fact get into the front seat and not the back passenger seat of that red Mitsubishi. The state would proffer that prejudice is minimal, and the reason is because we have video surveillance. And so Mr. Glass, in and of himself, can be impeached based on his prior testimony saying he got into the back seat versus the front seat. And that's the only prejudice that the defense has outlined in his deposition testimony that has been colored by his view of any of the trial testimony. And so based on that information, one moment, Judge. The state would say that rule of sequestration for this court to exclude him completely as a witness would not serve its purpose. It's not a per se rule to exclude. The trial court has discretion, and I would ask you to exercise your discretion because there's less intrusive means, being one of him being impeached based on the inconsistency itself.
You have the transcript of this witness?
I ordered a copy and we did not receive one. You have the transcript, Judge. If counsel can be so kind as to also provide us with a copy, we have received our copy.
Any problem with that?
No, I can email it right now.
All right, so could you give a copy of that to Travis?
Yes.
And what I'll do is I'll make it, I don't know if I'm allowed to make copies.
I can email to Ingrid and then I can email to them, they have their copy machine right there. I do have one quick follow-up, Judge, if I may.
Sure.
So there is a line of cases, and counsel is arguing from the line of cases where the defense has violated the rule of sequestration. So when it's a defendant violating the rule of sequestration, you do have to go into a Sixth Amendment analysis because it's his constitutional rights that the court still has to protect. And that's why you have that stringent standard. However, when you're dealing with the prosecution violating the rule of sequestration, then it becomes the question of my client's rights to a fair trial, and that's how the analysis should go. And you're looking at those line of questions, when you go to 96.16, there is another section that comes down that gives exceptions to the rule of sequestration, which we see. We have the witness's family in here. Why are they allowed in here? Because of 96.16 gives that exception. But there's case law that says when that family gets up there to testify, Mr. Demons' client rights to a fair trial will trump the other people's rights in this case. In this matter, Mr. Glass doesn't have any rights to be in this courtroom. He has no right to be watching this from TV. Learn his testimony to the evidence. I would ask him to look at this in the light most favorable to Mr. Demons and his constitutional right to a fair trial. And that's what we want today. And it's not going to happen with a witness who's been watching this proceeding from the comfort of his home.
But the defense isn't suggesting that this was all some type of connivance with the state, that they planned this or executed in some fashion to get around the rule of sequestration. You're not suggesting that. You're suggesting that you shouldn't be allowed to testify because it's a violation of the rule, which the state's agreeing it's a violation because the rule of sequestration was invoked. But you're not alleging or suggesting the state had anything to do with it, are you?
So, Judge, and I did ponder this last night, and for the sake of being a professional, I did not come with a motion for prosecutorial misconduct. But as we've heard Ms. Smith admit herself that she sat in that deposition with us, and they too realized that he had been watching the trial from his own testimony. The simple fact that the state now wants to even put him on the stand is knowingly, Judge. They knew in the deposition, 1. 2, they knew when I put him on notice with my motion. So they had the opportunity after the deposition, 2, after my motion pointing out we violated the rule of sequestration, just not to call them. They, however, are going to continue to proceed knowing he has violated the rule and put him on the stand. So yes, when we look at it that way, the state may be acting inappropriately.
Thank you. And counsel, from your perspective, as far as the state's concerned, once you found out this witness was going to, his location was found and you gave his address over, and I know you said he wasn't going to cooperate. I think you made that representation open court a week or so ago as well. I don't know the exact date, but you made a representation to that effect. When was the first time that you advised the witness that the rule of sequestration was invoked?
Judge, last Thursday, because prior to that, I'd only spoken to him on the phone, and he had told me we essentially had abandoned almost calling him as a witness absent a decision to do a rule to show cause, which we had not decided at that point. So when he told me he wasn't coming in, I had no further conversation with him until he contacted our office, and that was in response to the deposition. And counsel's
What date was that?
I can have counsel look up the exact date to let you know, because we have an email when we contacted our office.
That's the time that you told him the rule was invoked?
No. He called our office indicating that he had gotten a subpoena and whether or not he needed to appear, which we indicated, yes, he did need to comply with the subpoena. We tried to make arrangements for him to come. I believe his deposition was scheduled on a Tuesday, if I'm not mistaken.
No, that was the deposition that was set, if you recall, without any discussion or scheduling with the state for that Friday.
So it was set on a particular date and he failed to appear that day. And then I called him when he failed to appear while defense was still in state attorney's office in the lobby. I said, "Are you in Broward County right now?" He said, "No, I'm not. I don't have a ride." I said, "Okay, if transportation is arranged, can you make yourself available?" He said he would. He called us, he told us he would be in Broward County, I think Thursday afternoon. He called us on Thursday, said he was in Broward County. And that was the first time we met with him in person. And I would say, Judge, the defense is asking you to essentially apply a per se rule. The case law says there's no per se exclusion for the rule of sequestration. The only thing she's saying that's been affected is his seat position in the Mitsubishi car. That seat position is on video, it's in stage 7. And so that's something that the state could even show the witness in preparation for his testimony. It's something we would publish during his testimony. So that contradiction between where he sat in the car is not of the sort that should exclude his entire testimony and would color his testimony.
Thank you. My question though, as to when you first advised the witness?
Thursday, Judge, when we met with him in
Past
person.
Thursday.
Yes, Judge, when we met with him in person for the first time.
Thank you. All right, I'm going to defer ruling on it. Just, I'd like to read the transcript.
So, Your Honor, I think the case law is also clear that you need to read his initial statement to see if there's been any change in his statement from the initial statement to the deposition.
And I'm gonna provide, if I can approach Your Honor.
Where's the case law? I thought you were having the case law.
I'm providing this statement, so I can provide it to the judge.
I have the statement, I wanna see the case law you're quoting to, because we're talking about excluding him. I didn't see any case law. It says
I only
substantial.
just cited it in case law counsel. They just cited the rule. But let's do this though. I'm not done with this yet. I want to read what he said as well as the statement. I want to take a look at those things.
May I approach Your Honor?
Sure.
And so the
Who's your
case,
next witness, by the way?
It's Danny Benitez, he's a record custodian, so we anticipate it's gonna take about 5 minutes, which is why we.
Who's your next witness after that?
Mr. Glass.
Where's this detective Moretti?
He's also
He's
gonna
this
be
afternoon,
this
right?
afternoon.
Oh, Detective Moretti is supposed to be late this afternoon.
and Judge, I'm gonna print out the copy of the case law that the state was citing to, which I'll print out a copy for counsel and for Your Honor.
She's got notes on it. I don't want that, because you have your notes on there. So I'm not,
So I'll take it's just the
I'm
last.
sorry, can you just email it?
I'll do it right now, Judge.
Thank you. She'll print it out. I would like to read it. And we'll just have it marked as a court exhibit for the purpose of this, so.
State's otherwise ready, Your Honor, to proceed with the first one.
Who is?
Dan Benitez, record custodian for Montessori School.
And Judge, we do need to do one quick order to keep state 64 under seal for the purposes of the clerk. There is sexually explicit photos of minors and videos on there, so that must be, the clerk needs to be made aware of that on the 98 section 9807. Mr. Demon's phone, Mr. Demon's phone.
Any objection?
No.
All right, go ahead and sign. I'll sign it. Thank you. All right, you're all set, ready to proceed?
Yes, Your Honor.
Defense?
Yes, sir.
All right, let's bring the jury.
Okay, so remember when we left off, there was all the talk about Trevion Glass and how they finally were able to get in touch with him and he was going to come in and do a deposition. That's how we all left off. Well, that's what they're fighting over now. And there were multiple motions that were filed based on this. They had already filed something trying to exclude his testimony. He was one of the ones that was in the red SUV. And he was, I believe, I have to go back and refresh my memory. I believe he was at Fredo Bang's house later in the day. I think he's one of the ones that was there as well, but I'm not positive on that part. I'd have to go back and look at my stuff. It's been 10 days, but he was in the red SUV. He's one of the ones who told them, originally told police, I think that, or whoever, detectives, whoever it was he talked to, because remember when they asked everybody originally,
Jury entry?
Melly didn't get in that car. They're wanting him to testify.
Ladies and gentlemen, thank you. Please be seated and let the record once again reflect the presence of the defendant, Mr. Devons, his counsel, the assistant state attorneys, both ladies and gentlemen, jury. We had a good week last week, and then we're back on, so I think the state is still on its case in chief. Can we record your next witness, please?
Yes, Your Honor. The state calls Brandi Benitez.
This is just a records custodian, so this one will be in and out. They said Moretti might be there this afternoon. He's the lead detective. That one will be interesting. He had the longest deposition on there, of course, and a lot of the stuff that I saw on there.
Are you Danny Benitez? Yes, I am, sir. Well, this is our witness stand. Can you come up here, please? When you get there, remain standing for a bit. Raise your right hand and be sworn.
Do you solemnly swear or affirm the testimony you should give in this case will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do.
Please state your full legal name for the record.
Daniel Benitez.
Please spell your first and last name for the book.
Daniel
Please have a seat.
Thank you.
You need to touch the microphone in front of you. We'll adjust up or down, so it doesn't move back and forth, all right? Ready to go?
I'm ready to go.
Perfect. Counsel, you may proceed.
Thank you, Your Honor. Good morning, Mr. Benitez.
Good morning.
Can you tell the members of the jury where you're currently employed?
Sure. I'm employed at Montessori Academy in Broward in Pembroke Pines, Florida.
And have you been employed with the Montessori School in one capacity or another since October of 2018?
My wife and I started the school in 2002.
This is the
And
Montessori.
until today, we're still involved in the school as director of the school. I'm the operations director of the
Okay.
school.
And back on October 26th of 2018, were you you and your wife, the owner and operators of that school?
Yes, we were.
Okay. And the Montessori School, where's the specific address?
The address is 19200 Pines Boulevard, Pembroke Pines.
And you mentioned that's in the city of Miramar, correct?
Yes, I have.
So at some point in time, you provided video surveillance from your school to law enforcement, either 2018 or early 2019.
Yes, I have.
And how long is the system, how long does the video maintain until the system overrides naturally?
The system actually maintains a backup for 90 days and then overrides itself with the oldest of the events that being raised.
Okay. So in order to preserve video surveillance, you would have had to capture it and preserve it within that 90-day window, correct?
Correct.
All right. And you've had an opportunity to review the video surveillance that was provided to law enforcement and then placed on a USB?
Correct.
Your Honor, at this time, I'm showing the counsel with the pre-marked as states quadruple H, so H. May I proceed with this?
You may.
It says, is this the USB you were able to review?
Yes, it is.
And how are you able to recognize this particular USB?
Well, it has my initials on the back.
Okay, and did you sign an initial it after reviewing the video surveillance?
Yes, I have.
Is that video surveillance a fair and accurate representation of the video surveillance that was captured back on October 26th of 2018 from the Montessori School's video surveillance system?
Yes, it is.
And that video surveillance was maintained and kept by Montessori School until it was turned over to law enforcement?
Correct.
And it's routine for you to maintain that system? In fact, you still have a system to this day?
Correct.
Your Honor, at this time, the state would move into evidence what was pre-marked as state's quadruple H. Is the next number to include, I believe, 82?
We're gonna object, Your Honor, we're double checking all of the sessions.
Excuse me, just come sidebar. Tell me what it is.
Sidebar. Take a shot, do a squat. Sidebar. Okay, so remember when I did our maps and showed where that school is that caught the car on video? So he is here for as like just a records custodian, entering in that this is the footage from that school and it was that day, et cetera, et cetera. just to establish that it's real life. And the video shows the Jeep going down that road, going west. I'd have to pull the times again, 10 days and plenty of margaritas. I can't remember the exact time. I think it was like 4:02 or 4:06 or something like that. But that's one of the things that I had when we mapped it out.
The lawyers do not discuss the case, don't form any opinion about the case, or allow anyone to discuss the case in the presence or no research. Thank you.
So we're fighting again. All right. This should be like one of the easiest witnesses, and we're already fighting over him again.
Thank you. Let the record reflect that the jury stepped down. Counsel remain along with the defendant. You want to play the video now? Show counsel the video. I don't know how long is it. How long is it?
3:40 to approximately 5 a.m. We wouldn't be intending on publishing the entire thing for the jury. But just so it's clear, this was previously provided from the record to defense counsel. We just now at Sidebar learned that they had not been able to watch it and the file was corrupted. They had not told us or asked for an additional copy in any way, shape, or form.
Didn't we just take care of that Sidebar? Didn't I ask them that?
Yes, sir, but I'm making sure the record is clear on the state part on that. In addition, for the other images and things that she discussed in videos, those were from the phone, and those were available for defense. They were in my office on Friday afternoon. As to the things I said I would email, that was the PDF of all the photos that were published in open court on Thursday afternoon. Just so it's very clear, because I know Ms. Liberty was a little bit confused on some of those issues. I'm not confused on anything.
Thank you. So when is, I guess, my understanding is Detective Moretti your last witness?
Yes, sir.
All right, so what happens if I wasn't going to allow Mr. Glass to testify? What were we going to do for the next 2 hours, 3 hours?
State would be ready to go, Your Honor.
So Mr. Moretti's here.
Judge, with regards to the state would be ready with witnesses, yes, or videos to play.
Thank you. We're in recess. Thank you.
Already. So we are in recess. Let me mute it because y'all know they're going to come back loud with that awful music. All right, so I can pull it up since we have recess for a second. You know, when I was in school, I loved recess. And now we're like, oh, great. There's another one. All right, let's see. Okay, well, first let me pull the, well, I've already got it pulled, but let me go over some of that court stuff they were arguing about. Let's zoom on in. All right, so see that better. All right, so they filed the motion. Okay, so remember the last day was what, Thursday? When we were ending everything while we were fighting over Travion Glass. So this was the motion to exclude, and again, motion to exclude his testimony. So on June 5th, the evidentiary phase of this trial commenced, and both the state and defense invoked the rule of I can't say that word, sequestration. I can't say it. Pursuant to Florida Evidence Code, blah, blah, blah. Providing for the exclusion of witnesses who might be called to testify, so they might be precluded from observing the presentation of evidence and the testimony of others. So obviously everything's being live streamed in case you weren't aware, but you're here, so you are aware. So if you remember, they said when everything was ending that they were finally able to get him to come in and do a deposition. And it was going to be on Zoom. And then Raven said something about, know that he was going to come in and that, do it in person, whatever. They went through all that nonsense at the end of the day. So during the deposition, they said, the question was, do you know where everyone got into the Jeep, where everyone sat? He said, I wasn't aware who got in what seat that day, but from me watching what's going on, yeah, I know now. Yeah. So then, of course, Mr. Howard wanted to clarify, when you say watching what's going on, that's video footage of the trial on television. And he said, correct. So he said again that he had been watching it. When I first seen that you all was live on YouTube, and I kept hearing my name. So with him seeing what's been happening, what's going on, if you remember, like anybody who watched the Lori Vallow trial or listened to the Lori Vallow trial with me, with Brother Brewmeister and myself, you will remember that we went through this too with Melanie, the niece Melanie, where she said that she had watched part of the testimony of, I think of her husband is the one that she had watched, or maybe she had talked to him about it. I can't remember, the details escape me. But then she was excluded from testifying. So the it's you can't really watch it and then come in and say what, give testimony that's not tainted is kind of the idea. So let's see. Nonetheless, it is the defendant's duty to speculate as to the intentions of Mr. It is not the defendant's duty to speculate as to the intentions of Mr. Glass and change his testimony because the law is clear. So all right, so this is from part of, okay, so tell me who gets in the car. Me, AD, does that say Covey? It's hard to read. And Tay in the red car. Cortland, Melly, Juvie, Sack in the other car. Do you know that would be the Jeep? Yes. Do you know where everyone got into the Jeep, where everyone sat? I wasn't aware who got into what seat that day, but for me watching what's going on, yeah, I know now. Okay, and what do you know now? That Melly got in the back driver's seat. Cortland's driving, Anthony's in the passenger, Juvie's in the rear passenger. And what about your vehicle? That was a red Mitsubishi, right? He up till he saw the video, he said he only remembered only probably Cortland and Sack, because I know Sack always rides the front seat, and I know Cortland's driving for sure. As you're driving, does anyone fall asleep? Specifically you? Yeah, I fell asleep. Let's see, I want to say Wednesday night. Okay, how'd you get down here? A friend of mine. What's your friend's name? I don't know the driver, but the girl that I was with, her name is Janae. Angie Burr, member for 2 months. I can't show it on the screen for whatever reason, but I have it on this screen. Thank you, Brandi and JT, for creating a wonderful community. So glad to be a part of it since the beginning. Love to you both and the mods. Thank you so much, Angie Burr, and happy anniversary with us. Oh, and Kathy Davidson, welcome back to Juror. I know a lot of the gifted memberships have been expiring lately, so I know y'all are, which happens as it goes. You know how that goes. That was earlier. Making sure I'm not missing anything. Did someone pay for your hotel? First time he talked to the prosecutors was when they found out that, or when he was watching, yeah, it's mostly the same stuff. So, this where I pulled these up too, so we could quickly talk about them while we're in break. They also filed e-filed on July 9th. That was yesterday, right? Motion to exclude cellular phone pedometer evidence. So they don't want the pedometer stuff coming in either. So during its opening statement, the state alleged knowledge of the location, direction, and number of steps traveled by whoever was in possession of the 9807 telephone at certain times at issue in this case. He objected to the introduction of such evidence for lack of proper authentication and provided the court with Florida case law. And they are renewing the objection. Let's see. Citing case law about Google Maps. All this is just case law. So they're saying the evidence sought to be offered here is not merely a photograph, but data purporting to report the movement of someone in possession of an electronic device, i.e. a cellular phone. Moreover, the data which the state seeks for the jury to consider is derived from yet another source, an application on the cellular phone. So, yeah, more stuff they're wanting to exclude, which they've wanted to exclude this from the beginning. So, the big thing about from what I understand about the pedometer stuff is that it's not just the number of steps that they're going over. It's I guess the pedometer and the location shows that he, and this is what I did not review anything to remind myself of where I heard anything, but I can't remember where it was I heard this when I was going through everything, but there was something saying that what they're going to present is that not just the number of steps, but that you could see, according to pedometer, that he walked like kind of in a circle or a half circle or something like that. So I think that they're saying that is going with the theory of him getting out and walking around the car to stage the scene. So they're wanting to exclude that because they're saying that they don't think that that will be, it shouldn't be admissible because they said it's not reliable. And they are showing case law where other cell phone stuff was where stuff was overturned from it. Alrighty, let's see. Oh, this is the other one for Travion. Okay, so this is the state's emergency motion to compel. So this is back to the Travion Glass. On Wednesday, June 28th, set a deposition for material witness Travion Glass. Counsel failed to comply with the rule of Florida criminal procedure, blah, 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 blah. There was no attempt to coordinate with the witness as to his availability. The deposition was initially noticed as one to take place via video communication. So this is what we're talking about, how it was supposed to be Zoom, and then changed in open court by defendant's counsel to take place in the office of the state attorney. This would be again in violation. He does not reside in Broward County. Defense counsel made no attempt to arrange travel or lodging for the witness to accommodate the deposition taking place in Broward County. The witness made the office of the state attorney aware that he could be present in Broward County on Thursday, July 6th. This information was presented to defense counsel, and the state made available court reporter and agreed to move the deposition of the witness to 3 to accommodate the witness's unavailability. As such, there's a court reporter, a witness, and a time available for the deposition to be conducted on the 6th. The state is asking for this court to intervene so as not to inconvenience the witness. Ms. Liberty via email indicated that Mr. Adelstein is unavailable but did not provide a reason as to why the deposition could not still go forward. So this is again about their deposition stuff. And then this is Larry Daniel, notice of deposition. This is all the stuff that's been filed within the last couple days. Smile, love. Welcome, welcome. Welcome, welcome. Take your seat. Take your seat. Making sure I didn't miss anybody while I was reading. Yes, court is always in recess. Always. I would love to know, because our fantastic counter, Marie, was able to tell us the time that we spent in court as opposed to the time that we spent in recess on that last day when it was so bad. But it's still old stuff. But I'd like to know overall, because who knew it was going to end up like this? All right, so this is just the papers that they were going over, talking about the hearsay, exculpatory statements, and hearsay, and they were saying it's not hearsay, and then there should be no prior bad acts or prior criminal activity or impeachment therewith of the witness as governed by Florida. So that's basically all of this stuff. Oh, I just messed something up over here. So that's, oh, there we go. That's basically the stuff that they went over for the last few days, the stuff that they were just arguing over again. I'm not sure what the video with the minors is. I'm not sure what that's all about. No clue. Little concerning. Okay. Court is not back yet. They're still over here chit-chatting. Who knows when it'll be back. All right, so let me pull up while they're still yapping. And I say yapping with love. Oh, here it is. So it was at that CCTV from the school, the guy who's on the stand now. It was at 3:53 and 4:06, according to the court documents. That's what that's what we have so far. Now, I don't know. That's according to one of the depositions, I think, of Moretti, that came from. And then they also mentioned it in the they just keep showing old stuff. They also mentioned it in the opening statements, but it was, I couldn't remember the exact time, but 3:53 and 4:06 were the times that the cameras caught them. Yeah, Kathy, that's a good possibility, because we've heard all the rumors and stuff of those, the pictures that were sent between. It's all I've heard is girlfriend. I'm assuming it's Mariah, but I'm saying Mariah, but I don't know for a fact it's Mariah. That's the only girlfriend I know of. But y'all know how I am about verifying stuff before I say it, so I'm letting y'all know I have not verified it was between Mariah. All they've said is girlfriend, but I'm assuming that it was her. Let's see. Terry, I thought the same thing. It's a little bit strange that they have so many sidebars. So many sidebars. I know that they like, if you think about like Zachariah Anderson trial, right? Think about that one and about how they argued everything out just in kind of open court. I know every judge is different, every court is different, every state is different, but it's interesting to see how they don't talk about anything during the with the jury in there. It's all sidebars, which is actually a little bit annoying too, because y'all, I'm nosy. I want to know what they're saying. Oh, wow. Not counting today, court has only heard 42 hours and 56 minutes. And we are on day, what day are we on? 12? 13? 12? That's kind of nuts, right? So many sidebars. Day 12. So if the defense has yet admitted that 9807 phone belongs to Melly, why make a motion to keep out the health app with step count? So they have slipped up and said that it belongs to him a few times, but they are still saying that they don't know who was in possession of the phone at the time that this happened. Here's my questions with that, and I guess we'll hear more when they, present their case. Because keep in mind right now, all we're hearing is prosecution stuff. So I guess we'll hear more about this later. But I am curious how they, or if they attempt to explain how he had his phone before and he had his phone after, but they don't know who had it during. I'm curious to hear how that part works out. I have tried to, I took the evidence from prosecution and I was easily able to map out, based on just what they've given us so far, what I found in court documents and stuff, I was able to map out their story and fill in some holes and stuff. And you know, but and make that work. I have not yet been able to map out an alternate scenario that to where he can be innocent and still fits with the evidence and the facts that we know. So I'll be curious to hear what their side of it is, how they make that work. We'll see. I mean, he's got a great defense team. So while you don't have to, you know, you don't have to prove innocence, and you don't have to, the burden is on the state. But juries are also unpredictable. And if there's no other scenario that seems to work in their minds, then they are going to be more likely to vote guilty. So I am assuming that they will give some kind of alternate explanation as to how this evidence can still fit with him being innocent. So I'll be curious to see how all that works out. State has not rested yet, but they are supposed to have Trevion Glass today. They're supposed to have videos today. And then Detective Moretti is the lead detective, and he is supposed to start today as well. So, and you know, it's always the lead detective who, well, except for in Travis Rudolph, because Lord knows that lead detective was trying to think of a word I can use in the first 2 hours without getting flagged. She was not she was awful, y'all. She was awful. So her testimony did nothing. But all that did, you know, my opinion anyway, all it did was convince me more of Travis Rudolph's innocence. Because of her lack of investigation. But under normal circumstances, when it's not Vanderlyn, the lead detective is kind of the one who, you know, brings everything together and paints the whole story, the prosecution's whole story. And actually, his deposition is public record, so you can pull it up too. And I've gone through it. It's 130 something pages, maybe 140 something pages. I don't remember, but it is it has a lot of stuff in it that has not come out yet here. So, you know, we'll see what all he has to say. But what I'm also going to be excited to see, because I love the back and forth and the banter and watching the it's like if you get a great attorney and a great witness, it's like a well balanced, like it's almost like a sword fight, you know, like the sparring is. I love to watch it. So they have thrown Moretti's, the defense has thrown Moretti's name this whole time, and you know, talked about what a botched investigation it was, and making him sound like another Vanderlyn. So I'll be curious to see his testimony, but also the cross-examination, because I have a feeling it'll probably be, I would think Howard would be doing it, because he's the one who I know has mentioned Moretti's name more than the others. So I would think it might be him that does it, but who knows? But that'll be interesting to watch him. I know, because they are going to come after him hard, really hard. Think about the way Mark Shiner came after Vanderlyn. It's going to be, you know, it's going to be interesting. Very, very interesting. I'm not sure how long this break is. I figured it would be over by now, but yet here we are. Here we are. Oh, I guess I need to unpin that. All right, let's see. I think, oh, where did this go? I think the judge is ready to get this trial over with too. I'm looking forward to Detective Moretti as well. Okay, so one of the things too that's going to be interesting is a lot of the information that was in Detective Moretti's deposition. You know, he's the detective, so he went and talked to other people. You know, he got information from other people, so he has information in his deposition that was told to him and things that were told to him that have not come out yet, and we have not had, you know, those witnesses on the stand yet. So I'll be curious. And, you know, he talks about some of the stuff like his theory of motive and stuff like that in the deposition. So, so I don't know. The investigation part is always very interesting to me too. So I'll be curious to see what he has to say about everything. Oh, hello. Hello, Ricky Watson. Good to see you. Good to see you. See, they normally won't do the detective first because they kind of plant all of these. How do you explain it? It's like if you come and dump out a wheelbarrow of bricks. They keep dumping out wheelbarrows of bricks, and then he's the one who comes and puts it all together.
How long is it?
3:40 to approximately 5 a.m. We wouldn't be intending on publishing the entire thing for the jury. But just so it's clear, this was previously provided for.
Oh, this is still old stuff. Oh, actually, this was something that they said too. They said that the defense said that these videos from the CCTV from the school, that they've never been able to look at them, that the file was corrupted and they've never been able to look at them. And which, okay, that happens. But during this whole time, knowing that that was part of how they put stuff together, an important part of how they put stuff together, during this whole time, they haven't brought that up. That's surprising to me. I'm curious to hear y'all's thoughts as to why, how do you not, if it's corrupted and you know that, how? Because I'm thinking I'm not an attorney, y'all, but I'm thinking if I'm an attorney and I know that the prosecution is saying that they have this car caught on video at these two very crucial times, once going west toward the crime scene and once coming east back from the crime scene. And these are very crucial times. And I can't open the file. Don't you think you'd want to figure that out before the records custodian is on the stand? It feels like stall tactics to me too, because I can't, for the life of me, come up with a reason that makes sense as to why they wouldn't ask that. How did you miss that? I know that she mentioned last week too, if y'all remember, that there were a lot of videos that they had that they're wanting to show as well. So I'm curious to see how many of those we get to. You know, if y'all want to, while we're on these breaks, I can just pull up all those Snapchat pictures and we can go through all those again. No? Nobody wants to do that. Okay. Just throwing ideas out there. The 4,722,000 Snapchat pictures. Oh, interesting, interesting. In other news, this is not related, but I was just looking at my screen on this computer. I can see my computer over here. I ordered a little table you see I added my little shelf right here. I ordered a little table to go back here too that's like a little bit longer so I can put more of my stuff out and spread my stuff out. And that may seem like a small thing, but I'm really excited about it. So I can show y'all some of y'all's little fun things you sent. Let's see. So y'all don't want to go through all the Snapchat pictures again? Just throwing ideas out there, y'all. I'm just joking. I would not want to go through all that again. Yes. Oh, and I was trying to show these, but they had started. Okay, so I was showing y'all earlier. Are you still in here? She made these by hand. Let me see. Are you still in here? Okay, so look how cute. And then look at this one. Look. Hold on, wait. It's me. See? Wait. I'm not very good at this. See? It's me. My headphones and everything. Isn't that cute? Let's see if I can make it like to where it's actually. I'm so bad at this. This is like when I was trying to high five JT. I can't do it. My hair. Oh, there we go. There we go. See? Close enough. Isn't that cool though? How cool is that? So I had to put these up here too. And I had a few more things that I really wanted to show, but my little bitty table is only so big, so I got a longer. It's like a longer one, so I can fit some of my stuff. So cool. Well, the Danny Benitez, the dude who had the security, pulled my hair out. The dude that had the security footage from the school that caught the Jeep on camera going back and forth. He was on there, and he was supposed to be a 5-minute witness, y'all. 5 minutes, and just to introduce that, and then now defense is saying that they were never able to watch the video. that they've had for years.
You get an opportunity to take a look at the
Yes, Your Honor, thank you.
video or the, all right, so is there any objection?
No objection, Your Honor.
All right, so we'll do this again in front of the jury. So bring the jury in, please.
Bring the jury. He looks much more somber now.
Jury entering. Thank you. Let the record once again.
I love them, Lindsay.
Please be seated. Let the record reflect the presence of this council, this is state attorney, ladies and gentlemen, jury, I'll Mr. Benitez, remains on the stand. Counsel, you want to proceed?
The second move into evidence what was pre-marked in page 82.
Is there any objection?
No objection, Your Honor.
It'll be admitted.
Nothing further.
Jury cross-examination of this witness.
None.
Is he excused? Thank you, sir. You may step down. You're excused. Thank you. You're going to publish a video? No? You're going to call your next witness in? Who's your next witness?
Trivia Glass.
Watch this sidebar, please.
Sidebar. Take a shot, do a squat. They made that witness wait the whole time so they could review the video and then let him go. So now Travion Glass is coming up, but now they're doing a sidebar. So I mean, here's the thing though. If they're calling him, there's only so much they can ask him now because he said he's watching. So it's really just kind of, you know, they can call him to say who got in what seat, but we can already see who got into what seat. But yeah, I guess they watched the that video and had no objections to the video being entered into evidence is what I understand. Yeah, the security footage of them going, I'm assuming it will be shown. That was the whole point of them entering it in, but they will probably do that one how they did the others, where they show it without somebody on the stand. Like where they showed the studio footage with
just
Your next witness, please.
to the jury.
Trevion Glass.
Yeah, y'all please like the video if you haven't yet. Hit the like button. It helps us out. Marie Moss got her pencil ready for objections.
Yes, good morning. Are you Mr. Glass? Are you Mr. Glass?
Sure.
Welcome. This is our witness stand over here. Why don't you come to the witness stand? What I'd like you to do is remain standing. Raise your right hand and be sworn.
Do you solemnly swear or affirm the testimony you should give in this case should be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth? Please state your full legal name for the record. Please spell your first and last name for the court reporter.
TREVON.
Thank you.
Please have a seat. Mr. Glass, that microphone in front of you will only adjust up or down. It doesn't move back and forth. All right, so if you could scoot up close to the microphone. All right, you ready to proceed, sir? Counsel, you may.
Thank you, Your Honor. Good morning, Mr. Glass.
Good morning.
And I know you're quite soft-spoken, so I'm gonna need you to speak out a little louder, okay? And remember, you have to make oral responses, okay?
Yes.
How old are you?
23.
And where do you currently live, in what city?
Real Beach.
And have you, lived there all your life?
Majority of it.
Okay. You completed high school, or what was the last grade you completed?
11.
Right? You're not married, correct?
Excuse me?
You're not married?
No.
So I'm going to talk about some prior stuff before we get into why you're here today. Have you previously been convicted of a felony? Yes or no?
Yeah.
And how many times?
To my best of knowledge, once.
Okay. If I were to show you something, would that refresh your recollection?
Yeah.
A prior judgment? Permission to approach the witness?
Show counsel first, please.
Yes.
Yeah, monitor court.
I'm gonna ask you to just look at the document, don't say anything. Okay? Have you had an opportunity to review the document? You have to answer,
Yes.
right? Is your memory fresh as to how many convictions you have?
2. What was that one? The other one? I'm not sure. Let's see, 2 charges.
All right. Now, you currently have some pending charges in Indian River County, correct?
Yeah.
And those are 2 charges?
Yeah.
Misdemeanor resisting without violence?
Yeah.
And an obstruction of service or execution of a search warrant?
Yeah.
Are those misdemeanors or felonies?
I'm not sure.
Okay. Do you know what the penalty you're facing on those charges?
No.
Okay. Have you been offered probation in that case?
Yeah.
And have you been made any promises in exchange for your testimony here today?
No.
Right? So let's go back to October 26th of 2018. What were you doing like for work?
I wasn't working at all.
All right. Were you involved in the music business at all?
Kind of, sort of.
And how so?
Making beats.
All right. And when you were making beats, were you working with a specific group or music group or people?
One person to be particular, but yeah, supposed to be in the group.
All right.
Not the driver, but he was
Let's
in
start by saying this. What group was it?
YNW.
All right. And when you said one person specifically, who was that person?
Julie.
Okay. And can you tell the members of Judy's real name?
Christian Thomas.
And how long had you known Christopher Thomas, who you refer to as Judy?
Over a decade.
Okay. And this is back in October. And did you know somebody by the name of Anthony Williams who went by Sack Chaser?
Yeah.
And how long had you known Sack Chaser?
A couple years.
All right. Your Honor, permission to approach the witness with state 73.
It's in evidence, yes?
Yes.
You may proceed.
No, it's not on purpose.
Your Honor, I'm
He
gonna
can
ask
see
you
his
to
face. He's
take a look
just,
at state's photograph number 4 and state 73. Do you recognize that person in the state's photograph with the label marking 18-3118?
I do.
And who is that?
Anthony Williams.
So back on October 26, 2018, do you recall being at the New Era studio?
Yeah.
Who were you there with?
Few other people.
Okay. Was Judy and Sack there?
Correct.
All right. And do you recall around what time you guys got to the studio?
I'm not sure when we arrived.
Okay.
I don't.
Was it light or dark outside?
I believe it was dark. I'm not sure.
All right. And what was the intention going to the studio?
I believe we were supposed to have a 12-hour session.
All right. And that's a 12-hour recording session, right?
Yeah.
And who was the artist that was recording that night?
Really, everybody was artists. And
All right. Did you guys end up staying for 12 hours?
nah,
Okay. What changed and why didn't you end up staying?
to the best of my knowledge, people were sleeping, so we ended up going home because, sleep in the studio.
All right. And part of that is because studio time is
Paid
obviously,
for.
it's costly, right?
Objection to leave.
Stay.
Okay. You just said it was paid for. What was paid for?
Studio time.
All right. So you guys had prepaid for 12 hours.
Correct.
And obviously not utilizing that 12 hours, is that a waste?
Objection to
Stay.
the meeting.
I'll move on. How long, well, you said that people were sleeping. Who was sleeping?
Everybody but me, Anthony, and Chris.
All right. So who was upset that people were sleeping?
Objection, leading.
Who was upset overall?
There was no testimony that anybody was upset.
Okay, rephrase your question.
Was someone upset that people were sleeping?
I guess you could say that, yeah.
And who was that person?
Sad.
Okay. And how did Zach respond? How did Zach respond to people sleeping?
We woke him up and let him know it's time to go.
All right. And how did you do that?
Yeah, he went and woke him up, shook him up.
All right. Was there an occasion where he threw water on some people to wake them up?
Objection, Your Honor.
Stay.
Your Honor, this is deliberate. Can we go sidebar, please?
counsel, if you make an objection, make an objection. Don't be arguing in front of the jury. I told you that before,
I
all right?
understand. Can we go sidebar?
No speaking objections.
Can we
Come
go
sidebar, sure.
Thank you.
Judge is over it. Okay, so this is the first I've heard of this. I heard that that they were tired at the studio, but I have not heard. This is the first I've heard that that people were sleeping and that Sack woke them up and got mad, and shook people to wake them up, threw water on them. So entering this in could be another. They could be leading to show that there was more tension going on that night than what we originally thought or had seen.
Okay, so at some point, you just mentioned that you guys were getting ready to leave the studio.
Yeah.
Publishing Crate 72. I published image number 1 in state 72. Mr. Glass, can you see that photo on the screen in front of you?
Mm-hmm. Yes.
Okay. And who's that person?
The best of my knowledge, Melly.
Okay. And the person I'm referring to, what is he wearing?
A jacket.
All right. Do you recognize the person on the other side of the photograph wearing what appears to be a black shirt?
I'm sort of.
If you do.
No, I don't.
Okay. Publishing image number 2. Do you recognize the individuals in that photograph?
3 of them, yeah.
Okay, so what you can do is identify them by the clothing that they're wearing.
Jewelry, black jacket in the left, sack in the middle, jean jacket, Tay, black jacket.
And Sack is he standing or sitting?
Sitting.
And Tay, is he standing or sitting?
Sitting.
And you said Portland was wearing a black jacket. Is he standing or sitting?
Who?
Oh, how did you refer to him? My apologies.
Tay.
No.
Or Julie.
The person wearing the black jacket, who did you identify that as?
Julie wearing black jacket. Also, is Tay wearing black jacket.
The person wearing the black jacket who's standing up, do you recognize that individual?
Chris.
Okay. Do you recognize the people in photograph image 3?
Same one you just showed. Same person.
And who's that person?
Melly.
The 3 images that were just shown from state 72, do you recall when those photographs were taken?
Same night.
Would that be, what date would that be?
10/26.
Of 2018?
Yeah.
What location were those photographs taken in?
New Era Promotions Studio.
Was that the studio we just discussed that you guys were hanging out at?
Yeah.
I'm now publishing state 7.
His face isn't hidden on purpose. He's just hunched over.
Publishing 10/26/2018, beginning at timestamp 2/17/42. Mr. Glass, do you recognize the 2 individuals And this screen paused at 2:17:47.
Do I recognize the back of the head?
Yes, do you recognize them?
I just see it back of the head.
Okay, I'm gonna continue to play. Do you recognize anyone at timestamp 2:17:52?
Still back of the head.
Do you see an individual standing next to a red vehicle?
Yeah, that's cool.
Okay, you just said that's who?
Cool.
All right, and what is Kobe's real name?
That's what I know about Kobe.
All right, would anything refresh your recollection as to his legal name?
I don't know.
If I were to show you your prior statement, would that refresh your recollection?
Good.
Permission to approach the witness?
Right.
So he said it's just the back of their heads and he doesn't recognize, obviously these are his friends, he recognizes them, but he's not gonna wanna say
Mr.
that.
Glass, if you could take a moment and look at this page, read it to yourself, do not read aloud, and look up when you're done. Has your memory been refreshed as to the legal name of Kobe?
Yes.
And what is Kobe's legal name?
Objection.
What's the objection?
Sorry, I was right. Jacoby Mills.
I'm sorry.
Jacoby
And if you could repeat the last name for the court for well.
Mills.
Right, I'm gonna continue to publish date 7.
Okay, y'all remember who Jacoby Mills is, right? The one who gave the statement that he went the next day with Melly
There is a second individual at the red Mitsubishi
Portland
vehicle.
and Track to get
Do you
the
recognize that second individual?
Not really, no.
Okay. How about the individual that is standing at the gray Jeep?
That's sad.
Okay. I'm gonna continue to publish. I'm pausing at timestamp 2:18:21. Do you see that individual who's walking away from the Mitsubishi Jeep?
I see him there.
Do you recognize him?
That's AD.
Okay. And again, I'm going to ask you for AD's legal name.
I know his last name, Davis.
Okay. Would looking at your statement refresh your recollection as to his legal name?
I guess so.
Honor, permission to approach?
Can I have same statement?
Yes, Judge. Approaching the witness. Mr. Glass, same procedure. If you could take a look at that and look up.
We already know the name, Judge won't be the same.
No. without speaking, has your memory been refreshed as to AD's legal name?
Yes.
Okay, what is AD's legal name?
Adrian Davis.
Continuing to publish, page 7. Mr. Glass, let me know if I need to rewind the video, but you had a chance to look at the face of the individual wearing what appears to be a white shirt and blue shorts?
Me.
Okay. Continuing to publish. I'm pausing the video at 2:18:41. You see that individual carrying something across his shoulder, wearing what appears to be a blue jacket.
Say it again.
Do you see that person on the video?
I see the back of his head.
Do you see the back of the head of the person wearing the jeans jacket?
Correct.
Was that person the same person that you previously identified in state?
Sustain, rephrase it.
Okay. We previously looked in state 72 at an individual you identified as Melly.
Objection, Your
Sustain.
Honor.
One moment. Publishing state 72.
Ask and answer, Your Honor.
There's no question pending.
What's your question? Do you see the jacket in states 72, image number 3, the front of that jacket?
Yeah.
You see that jacket in states image 1 of state 72.
I see the same thing y'all see.
We spoke about this, Mr. Glass.
I'm standing that
Excuse
way. I'm standing that.
You ask questions, right?
I'm asking questions, Mr. Glass, and I'm just asking you to respond if you have knowledge. Is that jacket that was in image number 1 and image number 3, the jacket that Melly was wearing on October 26th of 2018?
To the best of my knowledge,
To the best of your knowledge, yes or no?
yes.
Publishing state 7. And then go. Oh. 72. Say 41. Okay. Back to state 7, timestamp 2:18:41. The individual that's on screen wearing a jacket and it appears to be something across his back. Who is that individual?
Objection, ask and answer.
Overruled.
Mr. Glass, you can respond.
I see the same person as last time.
Okay, and can you tell us who that same person is?
No.
Continuing to publish.
That's like pulling teeth. We all knew it was Melly. It took him that long to get it out.
Ask a question, y'all know the answers to.
Mr. Glass, you can't speak when there's not a question. Mr. Glass, do you see that individual carrying something in their left hand? I'm asking if you see them, just if you see them.
Yes.
Do you recognize that person? Okay, and who is that person?
Christian Thomas.
Mr. Glass, can you, identify for the record, and I know there's a video, but can you identify which vehicle you got into?
Red,
And can you tell us who was in that car with you?
Kobe, Tay, and 80.
So AD, Tay, and Cody.
Mhm.
Is that a yes?
Yes,
So that is a total of 4 people.
correct.
And in the vehicle to the left of the screen, the Jeep, who entered that vehicle to your knowledge?
Everybody else that was there, Zach, Melly, Julie, Court,
And by my count, is that also 4 people,
correct.
right? And when those, okay. Continuing to publish. At 219:36. I'm gonna stop at 219:46. At the time you left the studio in that red Mitsubishi, where were you headed?
Supposed to be home.
Okay, and who's home?
There's Melly house.
Okay, and was everybody in that red car headed to Melly's house?
So that's my knowledge.
Okay, and what about the Jeep? Where was your understanding that that Jeep was headed? The gray Jeep?
Same spot.
So both cars left the studio with the intention of heading to what you identify as Melly's house.
Correct.
Can you tell us, I guess, what was the mood or the vibe at the studio while you guys were there?
5 years ago. Can't tell you nothing right now.
Okay, if you don't recall, that's fine. Was there any physical confrontation that you observed at the studio?
Looks like a regular day.
Okay.
Studio, smoking drink.
All right. And you just mentioned smoking. What were you smoking, specifically you?
Weed.
Okay. All right, and now the vehicles, we saw that the gray vehicle on the video pulled off first. Can you tell us where you guys, the route you guys took to the best of your knowledge?
I can't tell you because I don't know.
Okay. Do you recall getting on a highway at all?
I recall being in the car while I was driving. I don't know where. I don't know. I don't.
Okay. Were you awake the entire time you were in that vehicle?
I wasn't.
Okay. Do you know at what point you fell asleep?
I don't.
All right. And when you left the studio, you were awake. Is that a fair statement?
I was.
And at what point do you recall waking up, or what time do you recall the next thing you saw?
Once you came to a stop
All right. And where did you come to a stop?
at the house gate.
And the house gate for Melly's house?
Yeah.
When you got to the house gate at Melly's house, who was inside your vehicle, the red Mitsubishi?
Same people you've seen get in the car.
All right. So by your testimony, Kobe, AD, Tay, and yourself.
Yes.
Okay. So still 4 people.
Still 4 people.
Do you recall how you guys entered the gate?
The gate was open for us.
And publishing states 47. I'm gonna pause it at timestamp 3:49, looks like 58. Do you recognize that red Jeep?
The Mitsubishi.
Mitsubishi?
I do.
Is that the vehicle that you left the studio in?
Yes.
And is this the guard gate you just testified to at
Yes.
Melly's house?
Yes.
Okay, and do you see that screenshot at timestamp 3:51:31?
Mhm.
Is that a yes?
Yes.
Okay, do you see yourself inside that red, Mitsubishi vehicle?
Yes.
And where are you located? Okay. And do you recall going through the gate, going through the procedure of going through the gate?
Yes.
So you get through the gate, where do you go next?
To the house.
All right, and can you tell us, you pull into the house, is there driveway in the house, in front of the house?
Yeah.
Okay. Are there any other cars parked in that driveway when you get to the house?
No.
All right, do you see the gray Jeep that you left the studio with at the house?
No.
All right, so what do you do when you get out of the vehicle?
From what I remember, I went upstairs and went to sleep.
Okay, and you said upstairs, so the house is how many stories?
Couple.
Okay, so you went upstairs to where specifically to sleep,
In Julie's room?
all right? Was Juby in his room?
Nah.
Okay. Do you recall where Melly's room was in the house?
Not upstairs.
Okay. Do you recall where it was, if it was not upstairs?
I think it was like first room as soon as you come in the house.
Okay. Was Melly at the house when you got there, from what you can recall?
No.
Did you see Melly at any time in the house?
No.
Right, so you go upstairs in Juby's room, and what do you do?
Crash.
All right, crash meaning,
Go to sleep.
okay. At some point, do you wake up,
Yeah.
and why? Or
Phone
how?
calls.
Okay. Safe to say that your phone was getting a lot of phone calls, blowing up,
Yes.
all right? And at some point, you answer the phone, correct?
Yeah.
Okay, what do you do in response to the phone calls?
I answered the one that kept ringing, and yeah,
All right, and so what do you do in response to getting that phone call?
I ended up at the hospital.
All right, do you recall which hospital that was?
No, I don't.
Do you recall what city you were in at this point?
I was in Broward.
All right, what city, not the county,
Miramar.
okay? Do you know if you went to Miramar Hospital?
I don't know which hospital it was.
Okay, so you get to the hospital, what do you find out when you get to the hospital?
That Anthony and Christopher was deceased.
Okay? And obviously let me not say obviously, but at that point in time, what do you do? Or how do you react to that news?
Grieving.
Okay. Do you stay at the hospital?
Not long.
Right? Where do you go after the hospital?
I ended up somebody's house.
All right? Do you recall whose house that was?
I don't know whose house it was, but I ended up there.
All right? Let's start with the city. Do you recall what city that house was in?
Panama.
All right? Do you recall if it was in the same or different area than where Melly's house was?
It looked similar.
Okay? And just to clarify, was it the same or different house than Melly's house?
Different.
Okay? Where did you go when you went to that house?
What you mean?
Like, where in the house did you go? So you go to the house, where do you go?
I went inside the house, I was in the back.
Okay. And would your statement refresh your recollection as to whose house you were at?
Maybe.
Your permission to approach, I'm gonna show counsel the same statement. Page 4.
Same procedure, Mr. Glass, if you could just review page 4.
Fredo Bang.
I don't see nothing about the house either.
If you could just read the entire page, and when you're done, let me know. Have you finished reading that page?
Yeah.
Mr. Melly, you could refresh as to whose house you were at?
Still don't see nothing about the house in there.
Okay. I'm gonna now show you what's in evidence in state 62. Do you recognize the individuals in state 62?
Yeah, I do.
Okay. Who are those individuals?
Maybe, another dude, Fredo.
Okay.
Melly
You
and
said
Fredo.
Melly and another dude, Fredo?
Yeah.
Do you know
Okay.
Fredo's name and or any nicknames?
That's all I know about. I know.
Fredo?
Fredo.
Do you recall ever going to Fredo's house?
Just that time.
And just that time being what time?
After I left the hospital.
So this. And for the record, what is Fredo wearing in the photograph?
Shirt. White shirt.
Okay. So after the hospital, you went to Fredo's house,
To the best of my knowledge.
okay? And what were you doing at the house?
Still grieving.
Okay. Who took you to the hospital?
The cameraman,
Okay, do you recall his name?
Drew.
Right. And do you recall who took you from the hospital to Fredo's house?
Same person.
All right. And before you left for the hospital, or actually, who went to the hospital with you and Drew?
Just Drew.
Okay. Who was at the house, Melly's house, before you left for the hospital?
Same people that was there when we got there.
Okay. And same people being the 4 people that entered the Mitsubishi?
Yes.
So you're at Fredo's house. You mentioned, and I forgot exactly where you were in the house. Did you say where you were?
Drew was wrong.
No, not Melly's house, Fredo's house. Where were you in Fredo's house?
Outside.
Okay. And who was at Fredo's house when you first got there?
Everybody that wasn't at the house.
Okay, and it's because I don't know who everybody was or is, can you please specify?
Kobe, Melly. I'm on people I can remember.
Okay, was that the first time you saw Melly after you guys left the studio?
Yeah.
Was Melly wearing the same clothes or different clothes than when you saw him at the studio?
It was a new bit. Nah, he wasn't.
Nah, he wasn't, you guys
He wasn't
specified.
wearing the same clothes.
Okay, do you recall what he was wearing?
He just had on some shorts.
Okay.
And how long do you stay at Fredo Bang's house?
I don't know.
Like minutes, hours, days?
Could be minutes, could be hours,
Okay, so not days.
not even a day.
Okay. And so when you got to Fredo's house, was it light or dark outside?
Like,
And you previously said yourself and Melly and someone else was at Fredo's house. Was Fredo there as well?
I think I did see him, I don't remember.
Okay. What happens while you're there? Like you're there, you're outside, what happens?
Grieving,
Okay. And you're grieving, are you grieving alone?
yes.
Are you at the house, at any point in time, do more people come to the house or do people leave the house?
If they did come, I don't know, I was in the back.
Okay.
I was back there grieving.
At any point in time, did Melly leave Fredo's house?
It came to a point when I was there by myself.
All right, so you were there by yourself. So the people that you previously said were there were no longer there, correct?
Right.
And so do you know where they went during that time?
I don't.
All right, and we're still talking about October 26th of 2018, correct?
Yes,
And this would be shortly after the hospital?
yes.
All right. At some point, does Melly come back to Fredo's house?
Around this time, I'm still grieving and getting a little, I don't know, yeah, I guess.
Yeah, I guess Melly comes back,
Yeah, I guess they did come back.
right?
I don't know, I'm not sure.
Okay, and at some point, does Melly leave again, a second time?
I don't remember anything farther after that.
All right,
Me grieving, that was the last thing I remember was me grieving, and I ended up in Gifford.
all right. So before you end up in Griffin, if I were to show you a statement, would that refresh your recollection as to Melly leaving and coming back a second time?
I suppose so.
Under permission to show him his statement again?
Yes, Council.
Mr. Glass, I'm gonna give you page 5 and page 6. If you can take a look, you can start in the middle and review those pages and look up when you're done.
Are you done? Is that a yes?
Yes,
Did that refresh your recollection?
somewhat.
Okay, so tell us what you somewhat remember.
I just did.
If you recall, you said you weren't sure, you went to Gifford, and then I asked you if your statement would refresh your recollection. Does your statement refresh your recollection as to whether Melly left again?
I'm not sure if they left, I was grieving.
Okay,
I'm not sure what nobody did, I was grieving.
all right. You mentioned, well, not you mentioned, let's see. I pointed out to you someone was, the person that was wearing the jacket that you identified as Melly was carrying something across his side or his back on the video. Do you recall seeing that?
I guess.
Okay. Do you recall what that's referred to?
Deception.
Okay. Can it also be commonly referred to?
Objection.
Sustained.
Are you familiar with the term man?
Objection.
Watch them side.
Are Are you familiar with the term man purse? She just got that in there. Oh, goodness. Oh, that didn't take long.
Did you see that satchel again after you left the studio?
No,
You know what was in that satchel?
I don't.
Recall seeing anyone else with a satchel that night at the studio?
It's 5 years ago. I don't recall.
Okay. Is there anything that can refresh your recollection as to whether or not anybody else is wearing a satchel?
Supposed to.
If I were to show you the video again, would that refresh your recollection?
Supposed to.
Publishing Suite 7. I'm going to start publishing state 7 at 2:19:01. I'm going to pause at 2:19:13. Does the video refresh your recollection as to anyone else that was carrying a satchel?
Yes.
Who, if anyone, was carrying a satchel?
I see Chris for one.
And that's Christopher Thomas.
Yes.
Did you ever have any business relationship with the person I refer to as Track?
No,
Okay. Do you know who Track is?
not really.
Not really, or
I don't know who he is at all.
do you know of him?
Yeah.
Okay. Did you see Track on October 26th, 2018 at any point?
No.
Do you recall giving a statement, specifically the statement that I've previously provided you with here today? To the detectives in this case. You have to answer out loud.
Yes.
That was a statement that you gave to Detective Moretti and another detective, I believe from Indian River. Is that correct?
Could be.
Do you recall in that statement giving a different response when asked?
Stay.
Would showing you that statement refresh your recollection as to anything regarding your interactions with Track on October 26, 2018?
I don't know Track.
No, my question was, would showing you the statement refresh your recollection as to any time you saw Track on October 26th of 2018?
No.
Okay. One moment.
So remember Jacoby Mills talked about him, Melly, Bortland, and Track all went back to the scene of the crime the next day to get the gun that they had thrown in the wooded area. So I think he's getting at that he made a statement saying that he saw Track that next day, and now he's saying he didn't, or he doesn't recall, or whatever he said.
You said you ended up back in Gifford at some point in time on October 26th of 2018,
Yes.
and do you recall where Melly was at the time you went to Gifford?
I don't remember.
Was at some point at Fredo's house, you guys all leave, meaning you, yourself, everyone that you previously identified was there?
Objection, leaving, don't recall.
You don't recall leaving?
I don't recall leaving with anyone. I don't know when I left. I don't know how I left.
Okay. Just to clarify my question, so you mentioned you left. When you left for Gifford, was anyone else at Fredo's house?
I don't know.
Do you recall Melly making any statements in your presence while you were at Fredo's house?
I don't recall.
Would showing you your statement refresh your recollection as to anything Melly told you while you were there?
I don't recall being told anything. So no.
Okay.
Felicia Holmes all over again.
You mentioned when they left the first time, you recall them at least leaving one time. Did you recall if when they came back, there were any statements regarding where they went?
She's saying.
Let's
No.
let me answer that. So you remember them leaving the house at least once, correct?
Yes.
All right. Now, when they came back, do you recall any conversations that Melly had in your presence that first time, after the first time?
I don't recall.
Would showing you your statement refresh your recollection as to those statements?
No, it would.
All right. Did you have a Facebook page back in October 26th of 2018?
I believe so.
On approaching council, what's been pre-marked is states quadruple I. Previous is shown. Witness.
May.
Mr. Glass, if you recognize these two pages that I'm showing to you.
Yes, sir.
And is this a Facebook, these statements reflect a Facebook conversation?
They do.
Is this a fair and accurate representation of that conversation that you had on Facebook?
It is.
Right, Your Honor, at this time, the state would move to introduce what's been pre-marked to say quadruple I is the next number to exhibit.
Uh-oh.
No objection.
I'm sorry?
No objection, Your Honor.
It will be admitted.
States quadruple I will be marked states 83.
Permission to publish?
You may.
Mr. Glass, can you see that document in front of you?
Yes.
All right. Where it says author, can you read that for the members of the jury?
You want me to read?
If you can read that, what does it say next to author?
Fargo.
What does it say before Fargo?
Okay, Fargo.
Okay, do you see where it says Fetty Fargo?
Let's see.
Okay, and who's Fetty Fargo?
It was me.
Okay, so was that your was that a, how you identified yourself on Facebook?
Kind of, sort of.
And who were you having this conversation with?
Right now, I look like I'm talking to myself. I
Okay.
look like I'm texting myself. I don't know who I sent it to.
Do you see where it says participants?
Okay. So texting Melly.
Okay. And that was page 1. I'm gonna now publish page 2. I'll publish it in part since it's a little small. Can you see that in front of you?
Mm-hmm. Yes.
Great. I'm gonna scroll up. What was the purpose of you having this conversation with Melly, Jamel Bennett?
I don't know. Just everything was questioned.
When you got to Gifford, were you looking for answers?
Not just me.
Okay. Were people kind of pressing you for answers?
Correct.
And did that have any impact in whether or not you reached out to Melly?
I don't know what you mean by that.
So, and again, you said that people are looking for answers. So did you reach out to Melly looking for answers?
I did.
Is that the gist of that conversation on Facebook?
Is that just a
Meaning the
conversation?
gist of the conversation, was that the purpose behind the conversation and the general conversation that you had with him?
Yes.
Randomly to confer. Do you know who Jamie King is?
I don't know who she is. I know of.
Okay, you know of Jamie King. Do you know how she's related to Jamel Demons?
Objection leading.
Sustained.
Do you know her relationship?
Mom. Supposed to be his mom.
Okay. Do you know if Jamie King and Anthony Williams had any?
Objection leading.
I wouldn't know none of that.
Rephrase your question.
Do you know the relationship between Jamie King and Anthony Williams?
I don't.
If I were to show you a copy of your statement, would that refresh your recollection?
Nope.
And one moment to confirm. Nothing further at this time.
Councilor, thank you. Is there any cross-examination this week?
Yes, sir. Morning, ladies and gentlemen. Good morning. Good morning, Mr. Glass. Your Honor, would you mind if we move the monitor from in front of the witness's face?
I don't mind. I mean, I mind.
Would you mind, Your Honor?
I don't mind. Is there a specific issue that you have, Mr.?
I do. I do.
Judge,
So,
can we approach Sidebar?
sure. Ladies and gentlemen, why don't you step out for a second? Don't discuss the case. Don't form any opinion about the case. Don't allow anyone to discuss the case in the presence of certain no research.
Yeah, I thought the same thing because it seemed like he was slouching, but now he's saying he's
Dr.
slouching.
Manuel, the defendant, and assistant state attorneys. So, Mr. Glass, I don't understand, what's the issue?
On this side of my face and show whenever the scene. Because I'm blind in my left eye, I'm trying not to.
So you don't see out of your left side?
Correct.
Left eye?
Correct.
So my thought is, let's try this. Can we, Gary, can you do me a favor? Just move the monitor for a second.
Let's move it out of the way.
Can you do that?
I could do that too. But if I, as far as this goes,
Clear court.
No, I don't ask you. I'm not asking you to detach anything. How much do you put it down?
that's, just here.
All right. So, Mr. Glass, is that all right?
Show courthouse.
Okay, so we can proceed like that. I think that works for everybody. So they show you pictures and things like that. You have to be able to see the monitor too. You understand, Mr. Glass? All right, we ready to proceed?
Yes.
All right, bring jury back and see if they're ready.
Yeah, he wants his face to be hidden. It wasn't done on purpose by anybody else other than him. He's that monitor's been there, but he's, slouched down because he don't want to be seen.
We're in recess.
We're in recess. Okay, so recess gives us a moment to go over everything so far. All right, so first of all, they asked him how many felonies he's been convicted of, and he didn't know. He said 1, and then they showed him the stuff to refresh his memory, and he's like, oh, 2. How do you forget a whole felony? Maybe it's possible. I don't know. He's too young to be forgetting felonies. All right, so here's the big things so far from all of this. All right, so he was at the studio. He identified who got in the car with him, who got in the other car, etc. These are things we already knew, but he went through it, and it was like pulling teeth. But we finally got him to say who's who, which is stuff we already knew. So they brought up, and this, because this comes up, this will be a part of it too, them going over the man purse or satchel or merce or whatever you want to call it, whatever the kids are calling it these days. That is important because they are going to be bringing this up again. Those were not found when they did the car. So that means that I think the state is showing that they both had guns in them, that they are the 2 guns that were thrown out after the murders. Remember, only 1 gun was used, but there were 2 guns in the car. So they, according to Jacoby Mills and his testimony and all the like data, actual data supports what he said, because we can see their phones going the next day. He said they went the next day to go get the guns that were tossed. I think he found one of them that day, not the other one, et cetera, et cetera. So they're pointing out those bags, man bags, satchels, purses, fanny packs, whatever you want to call them. They're pointing out those because, and they even said something about one of them was like, you know, as Melly's walking, it's kind of like banging. And, you know, it does that if something heavy is in there, which would be the gun. But they were gone. So that's one thing they're pointing out. They also, part of what was big on this is that, you know, one of the original story, well, not the original story, but then the, hey, we busted y'all lying, so now give us a new story, was that Melly swapped cars and got in the car with them. And if you'll remember, when they brought up the footage from the red SUV going into the gates, one of the questions that David Howard asked was, you know, can you tell from the video if there's 4 or 5 people in there? And he said, no, he can't tell. So now, which when he asked that, Travion Glass was not at that time planning on being here. So now he's here. So now that's interesting to see where they'll go with this now. So now we know that, that Melly never got in that other car, that he said he fell asleep on the way home, and when he woke up, they were at the gates, and it was still the 4 of them that were in there. They went to the house. It was Melly's house that I think multiples of them lived there, stayed there, whatever. But it was the same people in the car when they left as when they got to the gate. He said he did not see Melly at the house. He went up to Juvie's room and crashed, woke up to the phone calls, went to the hospital, and then left and went to Fredo Bang's house. So then he ID'd Fredo Bang. Now, if you'll remember, Fredo Bang is the one that I talked to on Twitter, who said he is going to come on after this trial is over. He's the one who also avoided the subpoena and then put it in his new song, Free Melly, that he said, I think the line is talking about subpoena, tell that lady I ain't get it, talking about Christine Bradley. His attorney literally filed a motion to say that he didn't get it and that he couldn't come do a deposition because he was on tour. He gave the tour dates and that type of thing. And then said that there were like 5 questions that they wanted to know, and he pled the 5th through his attorney on those questions about him going to get Melly and that type of stuff. So, but we know that they went to Fredo Bang's house. Now, if you'll remember, let me see if I can pull it up. I think. Oh.
Mr. Glass was reading something from his phone, and as Your Honor walked in, talking to someone on the phone. So I would ask the court to inquire as to what he's reading and who he's speaking to while he's on the witness stand.
Judge, I think the only individual who's not allowed to speak with would be myself and Ms. Smith, so I think that should be the extent of the inquiry.
Thank you. Mr. Glass? All right, you're looking at me. All right, thank you. I wasn't here. I left the office, left the bench, come for a recess, came back in, and counsel suggested to me that you're on the phone and you read something and you're discussing something on the phone. Is that true?
It's true.
Yes, so did it have anything to do with this case?
Not at all.
So was it some other business or?
So it's me texting. So
You were texting? Were you texting about the case?
talking about it.
What were you texting?
Texting saying that this wild shit wild. That's all I said.
I didn't hear you.
I said things are wild. That's all I said.
Things are wild.
It's wild.
Anything else?
That's it.
And did you have a conversation with someone?
My brother called me and was concerned. That's all.
Concerned?
Yeah.
Concerned about what? Did you say?
concerned about who I'm here with and how I got here.
Okay. And anything about the case, facts of the case, your testimony, anything like that? Thank you. All right, so are you ready to proceed?
Yes, sir.
Stay ready to proceed?
Yes, sir.
All right, can we proceed with jury ready?
Yes, sir.
Airport. Real quick, finish our recap while they're coming in. So he ID'd Fredo Bang and Melly in the picture. Said that Melly changed clothes from the time he left the studio. Now, Melly never went home, but Melly changed clothes into shorts. And then they were asking him about seeing track the next day. Of course, we know about them going to get the gun. So and then of course, the Facebook conversation.
Thank you very much.
Looking for answers about what happened.
Ladies and gentlemen, thank you. Please be seated. Let the record once again reflect the presence of the defendant, representatives, his counsel, and assistant attorneys. During the jury, all witness, Mr. Glass remains on the stand. Counsel, this is your opportunity for cross-examination. If you're ready, you may proceed.
Thank you, Your Honor. Morning, Mr. Glass. Morning, sir. I wanted to show you what the state admitted as States 83. You just took a peek at this and identified the participants as being you. You thought it looked like you were talking to yourself because you were the only one typing. There were no responses, at least on the first page, correct?
Objection to counsel testimony.
Sustained.
There are no responses to this, to your text on this first page.
No.
On the second page, the state was discussing that essentially you were inquiring of Mr. Demons Melly what had gone on because you were trying to get information, right?
Yeah.
And you see a conversation here where you get a response. I'm going to direct your attention to
I see it.
that statement. It says, I show them niggas more love than their parents, right? You see that?
I see it, bro.
Okay, thank you. And the next statement by the next message in sequence is again from Melly, and it says TF. What does that mean?
You tell me.
Okay. What does that mean?
I don't know.
Okay. So you were having a conversation and you didn't understand the
I don't know what
response.
TF means.
Okay, you didn't understand that response. Correct?
We all know what that means.
Just said it.
Okay. And then there's another one that says, man, tell them fuck that. If they think I did some shit like that, we can go to war. Nigga, you know I would never do nothing like that. See that?
That's it.
Okay.
Yes, he did. We called him.
So State mentioned that you got arrested recently and charged criminally. Correct?
Correct.
And on May 30th, not too long ago, of this year.
Yeah.
And one of the charges that was made against you was obstruction of the service of the execution of a search warrant. You're aware of that?
I am now.
Pardon me?
I am now.
Okay. So you got charged and you had no idea what you're charged with?
Correct.
Okay. And you are now out on pretrial release?
I bonded out, sir.
Okay. And while you were on bond, you are of the opinion that if you don't come here,
I'll be in jail.
Objection, Your Honor, apologies.
That's the only reason I am.
Excuse me. What happens is when they make an objection, just wait before you answer. Objection, no, it's overruled. Proceed.
Gotcha.
you're of the impression that if you don't come here and sit in that chair and testify, you're gonna go to jail.
Correct.
There are several instances in which Ms. Smith, prosecutor, that questioned you, showed you a statement that you previously gave. Remember that?
Yes.
And you told us, you remember seeing me in a deposition not too long ago.
I said what?
You remember seeing me last week on Friday.
Yeah, I remember.
And you recalled at the time that your statement to the detectives was a few days after the incident.
You say, do I recall?
That's what your recollection was at the time.
Yes.
A couple of days after.
A couple of days after.
And now after seeing the statement, you realize that it was 4 months later, right?
You say what?
The statement you gave to police. That
You're telling me it was 4 months?
It was 4 months ago. Pardon me?
You're telling me or asking me?
I'm asking.
That don't make sense. For you to ask me if I told you it was 3 to 4 days after they died, why are you asking me if it was 4 months? If I just told you.
Okay. So, in the statement that you gave to police back then, you claimed that you had gotten into the red vehicle in the rear seat, right?
It's 5 years ago. To the best of my knowledge, yeah, that's what I said.
You're saying the statement was a few days after, right?
What did you tell?
The statement that you gave to the police was a few days after the incident?
Yes.
And you said then that you had gotten into the rear of the red vehicle.
To the best of my knowledge, yes.
Okay. And then you watched this trial unfold on TV over the last couple of weeks, right?
No.
You didn't watch any of this
I
trial?
watched it, but I didn't watch it unfold or whatever you're trying to say.
Okay. You watched this on TV, this trial?
On my phone.
Okay. And you saw a video of yourself get into the red vehicle, right?
Correct.
And you learned that the statement that you gave a few days after the incident was wrong.
Because I said I was in the back and I was in the front.
Yes, exactly that.
That piece.
Yes, that piece.
Yeah, okay, yeah.
Okay, so your recollection had begun to fail you only a few days after the incident,
Objection.
as regards that issue, at least.
Objection to counsel specifying her pleasure.
You forgot where you sat in the vehicle a few days after.
Objection to counsel testifying.
Overruled. You can answer
Answer what?
that question. Is that correct,
Did
sir?
I forget?
Did you
Or
forget?
did I have made a mistake and say I was in the back and remember that I was in the front?
So when you told the law enforcement officers that you had gotten into the back of the vehicle, a few days after the incident.
That's what I thought, to the best of my knowledge.
That's what you thought, okay. And when you got to Melly's house that morning, you had a key?
Did you have a key?
No, I didn't. Did you?
No, I didn't.
Who had a key?
I don't know.
Dang.
You know if anybody having a key to Melly's house?
I don't know.
Okay. But you did gain entrance to that house that morning when you were leaving after you left the studio.
Yeah.
Okay. And then you said you just went and crashed and went to sleep in Judy's room. Right?
Factually.
Okay. And you were awakened by your friend Drew.
I did not say that.
Were you awakened by your friend Drew?
I said I was waiting by phone calls.
Okay.
Yeah, he does not want to be there.
On February 26th of 2019, when you actually gave your statement to law enforcement, do you recall this question and this answer?
Objection, improper impeachment.
Sustained.
On that day, you told the police that Drew woke you up.
Objection, improper impeachment.
Sustained.
I don't recall.
Excuse me, sustain the objection.
Okay. On your memory approach?
Sure.
This is going well. Going about as well as I thought it would. He doesn't want to be here. I want to look at his other charges. I'll pull them up during lunch break. If it's still raining. If it's not raining, I'm going outside.
Did you ever make a statement differently where you claimed that you were awakened by Drew?
Objection, counsel testifying improper impeachment.
Overruled. Do you understand the question, sir?
I don't even remember getting asked a question.
All right, restate your question.
Did you ever make a statement to the police?
I don't recall.
Okay. Do you recall now being asked this question and giving this answer?
Objection to improper impeachment.
Overruled.
Question by Detective Ben. And so when you first saw Drew, when did you see him? Where did you see him at? Your house or Fredo's house? Answer, at the house in Miramar. At Melly's house. Okay. He woke me up. It was like, come to the hospital. You said that.
I don't recall.
Don't recall. Okay. When we spoke to you last week, you said you were awakened by phone calls from Christopher Thomas's mom, right?
Plenty of phone calls.
And, pardon me?
Different people.
Different people. And the one that you answered was Ricky? So you were awakened by a phone call from Ricky?
To the best of my knowledge.
So as you recall it today, Ricky is the one that woke you up with phone calls, not Drew that woke you up in person.
Correct.
Okay. So you smoke a lot of marijuana, right?
Possibly.
Well, you smoke it anytime you get a chance, I think is how you phrase it.
It's your answer. Yeah.
That was your answer.
I smoke when I smoke.
You smoke when you smoke?
Yeah.
And when's that?
When I smoke.
And when was that?
When I smoke.
How many times a day?
Objection to ask and answer.
Overruled.
Twice, 3 times, maybe.
Okay. And on the night before you got to the studio, on the day in question, you had smoked at least 2 joints, right?
I sure guess.
That's what you said, right?
I don't recall.
Okay. And when you got to the studio, you were smoking, correct?
Possibly.
Were you or weren't you?
It was 5 years ago.
You forget?
I don't recall.
Okay. And you were drinking Hearsay, I believe? Or do you not recall that either?
It's possible.
Possible. But you don't recall?
I don't.
Okay. So you don't recall much from that night, do you? Right? Fair?
Right.
Okay. And when you got in the red vehicle and left, you went to sleep in the vehicle when you left the studio, right?
Yeah.
And you didn't wake up until you got to the guard gate.
I woke up when we came to a stop.
You did not wake up until you got to the guard gate. Am I right or wrong?
I woke up when we came to a stop.
Okay,
Which was at the guard gate, yes.
Okay. One moment. With respect to your daily, right? You've never seen Melly with a gun.
Objection, Your Honor.
Stay.
Move to strike.
Here's this your last question.
Have you ever seen Melly with a gun?
Objection, Your Honor.
I sustain the objection.
Have you ever seen a track with a gun?
Possibly. Yes. Maybe. Maybe so.
You don't know of any friction between Melly and Anthony Davis at any time, Anthony Williams at any time?
Not that I know of.
And you don't know of any friction between Melly and Christopher Thomas at any time?
Not that I know of.
And you don't know of any friction that occurred at the studio that night that would cause anybody to get murdered?
Objection, Your Honor. Call for speculation.
Sustain.
You didn't see any friction at the studio that night of any magnitude?
I did.
You did?
I didn't.
Okay, you did. Anyways, with respect to your daily marijuana regimen, did you smoke before you came here today?
I did not.
I have nothing. Thank you.
I should
Counsel, is there any regret?
One moment, Your Honor. Mr. Glass, did you live in Broward County back in October 2018?
I did not live here.
Okay. when did you come in relation to this incident to Broward County?
I was picked up probably, I don't know, I was picked up on the weekends or something like that.
So how would you, I guess, date how long you were here prior to the incident? Time frame.
3 days, 2 days,
Okay, so you were not a full-time resident of Melly's residence?
was not.
Nothing further?
Is this witness excused?
Yes, Your Honor.
Thank you, sir. You may step down. You are excused. Still on the box, so ladies and gentlemen, why don't we take our lunch and recess now? It looks like it's over after 12. And remember the admonition, do not discuss the case, don't form any opinion about the case, don't allow anyone to discuss the case in your presence. And certainly no research, we'll see everybody back at, let's say 1:30. All right? Thank you, ladies and gentlemen. Keep on that one, cheers. Thank you. Let the record reflect the jury stepped down. Counsel Rand, along with the defendant, and you to discuss counsel. Thank you.
Okay. So that was interesting. All right, so here's we'll do a quick little rundown of the day so far. With all the recesses and stuff, that we haven't missed much for those joining us late. You haven't missed much as far as time goes, but there has been some interesting testimony. Okay, so let's see. I've got to look back at I made a few notes about things so I don't forget things, because y'all know how my brain works, especially after being on vacation for 10 days. All right, so day starts out with them fussing over whether or not he's going to be able to testify, and he, of course, as we just saw, was allowed to testify. We saw Danny I don't remember now. We saw Danny. Danny came on in, and he is the one who was just basically the one who is giving the video for the school, the CCTV that caught the Jeep going toward the crime scene and back again. And then we get Travion. So big takeaways from his testimony are that I noticed, okay, so the prosecutor was getting a few things in there about them falling asleep at the studio, and about there being some irritation about them sleeping at the studio, and even threw it in there. You can't unring that bell because they heard it, but it was the objection was sustained about throwing water on someone to wake them up. So anyway, then they so that could be a possible. We'll probably hear more about that later, but we that could be a possible introduction into tension that evening or whatever. Then we have where he identified who got in the car. That was like pulling teeth. He identified the bags that they believe had guns in them. Juvie was carrying one and Melly was carrying one. They left and went home to Melly's house. He said Melly never got in the car. It was still, when they left the studio, they got home with the 4 that were in the car when they left. So Melly never went home, never swapped cars. And when he saw him again at Fredo Bang's house a little while later, he had changed clothes. He identified the picture of Melly and Fredo. The changing clothes, I think, is going to be one of the things that the jury, because look at it from jury's perspective. They're like, okay, well, all of these people went to the hospital, because this happened to their friends and they were grieving and whatever, but Melly didn't go to the hospital. He didn't go home, but he changed clothes. So if I'm a juror, maybe, that's something that's standing out to me from that testimony. They were trying to get to the conversation about, from his original statement about hearing that Track and Bortland and Melly and Jacoby Mills, Kobe, they call him, went back to the crime scene the next day to get the guns, but he doesn't remember that now. And looking at his previous statement will not refresh his memory, apparently. Let's see what else. And okay, and then the Facebook conversation between him and Melly, where one thing I noticed, okay, on the conversation between him and Melly, Melly wasn't answering him at first, but did you see that there was a time where they started sharing video? Like, how on Facebook messages, you can share video. So there was a spot where one of them started sharing video and then it said, you can now see each other. So I think that that would be a big deal, because if you are seeing the person, then you know who has the phone. That's about it. That's kind of the main stuff. So this is something that I had heard from people that Track picked up Melly, but that is not something that I have seen. I have heard it, but I have not seen it. What I have seen is, I'll show you what I have seen. Let me find. Is this the one? Nope. I'm going to show you when I was mapping all this stuff out. Is this it? I have so many. I might have to just do it in Canva. Let me just, because I don't think I saved it to my computer yet. The stuff about Track going to pick him up was, oh, here we go. I think this is it. Oh, thank you, Marie Moss. Thank you, thank you. I appreciate that. Appreciate the super sticker. Okay, let's see. Alrighty. So, move that. All right, so here's the hospital, right? Where they pulled up at 4:35. The 2 pin locations that he sent are, I've mapped them latitude and longitude right here and right here. Now, it looks like based on, like, if you use step data and if you use location data and you use everything and put it all together, it looks like if based on the data, if he did it, and this is what the prosecution has, what they're saying, that he would have gotten out of the car here about 4:40 and then sent 2 pins right here. Now, keep in mind, Melly's home is down here. So this is where the other guys went. Fredo's is right here. So he's sending these pins to Fredo Bang and talking about him coming to pick him up. Now, I've thought about this. If he was that close, then why would it be so important? If he's going to Fredo's and it was that close, why would it be so important for Fredo to come pick him up? But it's a gated community and he can't get through the gates without being caught on camera. So that could be a possibility. So Fredo's is right here. The gate that the guys entered in when they came home was right here. There's another gate up here, but I think like right here. But so I keep hearing that, or not keep hearing, I heard that Track picked him up. But here's my questions about that, and maybe we'll find more of this out later too. The phone that Track was using did not leave the house where he was at north of Fort Lauderdale until later on. So not at like 4 a.m. And it did show that it left at whatever time it was. I can't remember. It's on one of my mini charts. It did show that it left the house in the morning sometime. And we know that, we know that later on that day at around noon that his phone and Melly's phone also went back to the crime scene, stopped around where it was for a few minutes and then left again, which is, according to Jacoby Mills' testimony or deposition, is when they went to go find the guns. So I have heard that Track went and picked him up, but I have not seen anything that shows Track going to pick him up. It looks like he was, from the information we have so far, that he was in that area. Of course, at 4:53 was the last pin, and then we know that he ended up at Fredo Bang's house. So one of the questions that they tried to ask Fredo Bang was if he picked Melly up that day or that morning, and he pled the fifth. So we may never know. But Fredo Bang said he's coming on the show after the trial, so we'll put it on the list of things to ask him. See if he'll answer. Can't hurt to ask, right? All right, so we have about a little over an hour until they come back from lunch. So I'm going to take a lunch break. I'm going to take Lucy out, and I need to get a couple things done. I think the rain has stopped long enough for me to take her out. So I'm going to take her out, get a couple things done, and then we will start back up here in a little less than an hour. They are coming back from lunch at 1:30 Eastern time, so we'll start up about 1:15 Eastern time. And I'm going to pull the in the meantime, when I get back, I'm going to pull the. I'm going to go back and get screenshots of that Facebook conversation. I've got it timestamped, so that I can compare. I can add that to our text time list that I've got going to see how it falls into everything else. Okay, so the song that Fredo released called Free Melly, where he talks about avoiding the subpoena and stuff. I listened to it. It is actually, it is a really good song. It's a catchy little tune, but he talks about avoiding the subpoena, and he also talks about remember the beef with NBA YoungBoy. He talks about that in there too. There's a few things that he mentions in there that some behind the scenes stuff. All right, y'all. So please, before you go, please hit the like button because it helps. Yeah, Fredo Bang is his All for Melly, his new song he released right before I left. I tweeted it out and tweeted the copy of the motion that they filed saying that he didn't get it, explaining what that line actually meant. So, but yeah, but it is a really good song. All right. I have to get some stuff done. I am going to take Lucy out, then pull those texts, and we will be back here at 1:15 Eastern. Please like the video on your way out, and then we'll get the other one started and all that. I will go live again at 1:15. So I appreciate it. Thank you. Yes, our mods are fantastic. No, Fredo Bang is not on the stand. He actually, oh my ears. He actually has, they filed, him and his attorney have filed motions, and he's not testifying. So he's pleading the fifth on the things that they wanted to ask him. So he's not doing it, but all right, y'all, I will see y'all back here at 1:15. I appreciate it, and I'll see y'all soon.